Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on a Tuesday night. We are proud to be giving you some of the amazing racing action at Daytona. We're going to be seeing a lot of this track in the month of January. Already got done with our 6 hours of Daytona charity event, and now it's ready to see these drivers tackle a 120-lap race for the Daytona 300 for the Doghouse Racing League. Gonna be sponsored by Shoney's. Excited partnership for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting tonight. Kind of a fun race for the drivers. It's a fundraiser race to help them get throughout the year and the season for themselves. But it's our first time getting to see the Doghouse Racing League in this next-gen car. We will be officially covering their season on Thursday nights moving forward. We're excited for 2024 to see what these drivers have for us for the Doghouse Racing League. Excited for it? Especially for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, I'll be the calling and voice for the Doghouse Racing League for tonight and on Thursdays. Zach Hull will be joining me on Thursdays, but for tonight on Tuesday, it's our usual Tuesday commentator with me. We've got Trevor Earhart with us. Trevor, it's been a while, but welcome to 2024. We're excited for some racing action.
Yeah, excited for some racing action. Had a little bit of a vacation, but excited to be back up in the booth with you, Sam. And what better place to do it than here at Daytona? And last time you and I called a race at Daytona, we had a photo finish. So I'm excited to see what these Doghouse guys are going to have in store for us here tonight.
It was close. That was a great finish that we got to cover. Identical coming across the line. There was no true difference. iRacing had to go down to the 10,000ths of a second marker to see how close they could get on that finish. We'll see how well we can get that close. But for tonight, we're running a different car. It's going to be the Next Gen Cup car. And if you've watched us throughout these last couple of weeks, you also had a little bit of a preview of a Daytona 500 a few weeks ago on a Sunday night. We also are going to be seeing those same cars and expecting to see the handling. How is that going to change here this evening? And it's all going to be here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, like we said. A lot of drivers excited. We've got 32 that have registered in to the session currently. 38 total signed up for this race. So we'll see if any late drivers signed up during qualifying as we take a track side. Drivers finishing up practice, about to be heading into qualifying. But Trevor, these drivers, big thing they're looking out for has to be how are you going to work in the draft and tire wear.
Yeah, it's going to be the question of the night. How is that car going to handle in the draft? Who are you going to draft with? Are you going to have friends, enemies, and what your strategy is going to be? Do you want to get up to the front? Do you want to hang around at the back? These drivers do have a fast repair here for this race tonight, so that's going to be a big help for these guys in the back of their mind. And like you said, tire wear, you don't think of it typically at a super speedway race, but here at Daytona, those tires can be a little bit, the tire wear can be a little bit detrimental to these guys, especially off corner exit when you're getting shoved the hardest.
Certainly can be as the drivers get done with practice and it's time to ramp it up into qualifying. Who wants to start up front? Who wants to settle in the back? And it's our time to get a little bit of a preview of the drivers that are running here tonight. In total, they're going to be having 5 minutes to put down their fastest time, but only 2 laps to figure out that quick speed. And qualifying, usually not something that we talk about a lot for these drivers at normal super speedway racing in the past, but Trevor, our preview that we had a few weeks ago on Sunday, gotta say, that Daytona 500 proved you want to be up front. Track position is going to be key if you want to win here tonight.
Yeah, I think it's so weird to think about it because you don't typically think of track position being that key at a super speedway racing with the draft being the way it is. But in these next gen cars, it is hard to get runs and get passes done. And if you're in that lead position, you can really control the lines. So for some of these guys, getting that pole position or being up inside the top 5 or 10 could be really key for these guys in this qualifying run.
Hunter Simpson going to be on screen in the 5 machine. Hunter Simpson comes into this race, second place finisher after last season's Cup Series. Came second to Jonathan Jennings, who came away with victory. Jonathan Jennings is one of the top drivers to watch out for, but so is that of Hunter Simpson. Comes into tonight, 6th most winningest driver, and as well has 26 starts in total of all different series. Doghouse Racing League have lots of different series that they run, anything from short track races to next gen. They've ran Xfinity as well as they've ran trucks. Trucks is what they've ran primarily a lot, but as well here for the Next Gen Cup cars, it's been a pleasure to see how these drivers are going to be ebbing and flowing to try to match the speed of some of these top drivers. And right now, Hunter Simpson on the backstretch for the 5, trying to stay low currently on that yellow line and trying to put the fast time. And it's all a lot of drivers that the first lap seems to be the fastest one you want to put down. And Trevor, I'm curious on how many maybe are going to be swinging to that second lap to aim for their fastest time.
Yeah, it's gonna be the interesting thing to see. We saw him take the high line through 3 and 4, coming to the start finish line, trying to get as many RPMs and as much speed built up in that car as he could. Cross the line first lap with a 49.4. So pretty good first lap for him. We'll see if he stays in it for his second lap. But yeah, it kind of just comes down to driver preference. Some drivers prefer the first lap, some prefer the second lap. And the other thing, Sam, that a lot of drivers have to take into account with this next gen car, you have 5 gears. Some electing to use fourth gear for their qualifying lap, some electing to use fifth gear. So we'll have to see how that plays out as well.
Yeah, and you know, that changing up of the gears, we're going to see that also when we're racing. Drivers maybe want to stay in fourth gear while in the draft. Some going to be in fifth gear. For now, it is everyone hunting to try to take the top of the board. After those first laps, around half the field to put down a time, it's going to be the 94, Tyler Millette, who's going to be the top driver currently. As Hunter Simpson out the exit turn 4 into the travel, hoping to best the time. Was fast enough to be fifth on that first lap. Any advancement doesn't look like it's there. So drivers, that first lap, so critical if you're trying to put down a fast time for yourself. It's going to be Gary Armio going to be in the 7 machine, fourth fastest after that first lap. Second lap coming in, going to be falling down to fifth place because we got some other fast drivers finding that extra speed on the second lap. Eric Anderson up to second place, a scary time, just 4 thousandths off of the pole sitter, as other drivers are clocking in their times and setting up to where they can find that little bit of extra speed for themselves, as some drivers already have finished up their times. But here's one that's on their first lap. It's going to be Chuck Cobbs in the 81 off the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, off the exit of 4 here, trying to hug that yellow line, be as smooth as you can with those wheel inputs. Don't want to scrub off any unnecessary speed for himself as he comes across the line here to complete his first lap. See where that's going to put him. A 49.45, going to put him 17th quickest on his first lap. First lap for Chuck, and he's going to stay in it for a second lap here, Sam, and see if he can gain any time as he goes back into 1 and 2. Again, trying to hug that yellow line as best as he can.
Trying their best. Extra speed can be fine. It's going to be a little bit under 600ths of difference from Chuck's fastest lap to the pole sitter's fastest time of Tyler Millette with a 49.403. I was curious if we're going to see any drivers hit a 49.3. Haven't seen it just yet. The 81 hugging that yellow line, trying to stay low, smooth, carry as much momentum as possible, slightly drift up. I think that might be scrubbing off some time off the exit of 4. You're trying to stay smooth, not to waste any momentum. Rides a little bit high in the 81. Cobb from 19th, hoped to advance in positioning, and doesn't look like that second lap's going to be any faster. It's going to be 19th position after that run, as we have 15 seconds left in qualifying. That is going to be done and dusted. Everyone else that's out on track look to be done with their laps. And thanks so much again for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, our first showing of the Doghouse Racing League. Excited to partner up with this league. We're going to be covering on Thursday nights their Next Gen Cup Series for Season 1 of 2024. As the drivers have now finished up with practice, qualifying is over, and it's time to see where the drivers will grid up for the Daytona 300 here this evening. 120 laps. Excited to see where they're going to be starting off tonight. In your front row, going to be the 94, Tyler Millette, going to take the pole award. Eric Anderson in the 43, going to be in second place with Gary in the 45, going to be in third. Jonathan Jennings, the champion of last season and one of the most dominant drivers in the Doghouse Racing League, going to be in a fourth for the 91 machine. And then we're going to see Donald Leftwich going to be in the 60 machine in fifth. Sixth is Justin McMahon, going to be in the 24. The 7 is going to be seeing William in the 4 machine. And in 8th, it's Gary in the 7 of Armahoe, going to be finding that speed. Then in 9th, it's Hunter Simpson. And in finishing out our top 10, it's David Halsey in the 57.
Jamie Horn will start in 11th position with Christopher Leftwich in 12th. Andy Cork in the 41 will be in 13th with Bruce Martin starting in 14th position. Leroy Coblentz in the 42 will start 15th with Kevin Thompson in the 6th and 16th. Jeff Weimer will start 17th with Michael Skinema there in 18th. Chuck Cobb will roll off 19th, and Daniel Wilkerson will start in 20th.
21st is going to be Jonathan Smith in the 99 in 21st position. 22nd position in the 14 is going to be Mark Dumont in the 14. Then in 23rd position, it's the 00, Nicholas Atwood. In Again, in 24th, it's Steve Gerber. Going to be in 25th is Richard Leclerc, the 17. Kevin Brown in 33. Machine in 26th. Falling to 27th is Stephen Bonombo, going to be in the 9. Then we have Andrew St. Gore in 12 and 28th position. And 29th is Ty Shoney, going to be in the 47. Then in 30th is Andrew Lucas. And 31st is the one of Jason Palmer and Peter Knapp. Going to be finishing out our 32 drivers here tonight. We got 38 drivers registered in. It's more of thank you for donating for the league tonight. Was for the drivers to come out here and put on a show and also fundraise for the year for the drivers, trying to make sure they've got plenty of trophies to line up throughout the season. Because Doghouse Racing Series, Trevor, we're again a new partnership. We're grouping up with these drivers in this league to cover their Thursday night series in the next gen car. But last year in 2023 and as well in 2022 ran 3 seasons. So that is a lot of racing, and they want to make sure all the drivers that are racing out there get to experience the glory of a win and also find themselves some trophies and prizes throughout the season.
You'll love it when a league, has that. One, puts on that many races, and two, always hands out prizes throughout the season. At the end of the season for the drivers, keeps people around and allows the league to grow. And Sam, I'm excited for the show that they're going to put on for us here tonight, and then excited to be a fan and tune in on Thursday nights to see what kind of show they're going to put on for their season.
Excited for it. We're going to be having Zach Hall in the booth on Thursday nights. With a big shout out to Trevor Earhart for joining with me here this evening for 120 laps. There will be no stage breaks. The drivers have 5 extra sets of tires in pit road if needed. Fuel run anywhere from lap 35 to 42. It's going to be whenever they decide they really need to make that stop. And if needed, 2 green-white checkers at the end of the race if we get a caution later on. But tonight, going to be exciting. How is the next gen going to run? We've seen the outside lane be very dominant in other preview races before tonight. We'll see if that continues this evening. As we wait for the pace car to pull off, it's going to be Tyler Millett, Eric Anderson, your front 2 drivers. See who's going to be leading lap number 1 here tonight. Pace car pulls into pit road, into the restart zone, and the Daytona 300 for the Doghouse Racing League is underway as the 94 roars down into turn number 1.
And it's a great start from the 94 there of Millett. He's got Kloon trying to push him in the 45 as those two try to get hooked up. The outside line, though, with the 43 of Anderson and the 91 of Jennings trying to hook themselves up as well. Get that outside line to be dominant. And we've seen it be that dominant line. Can they get going and get the momentum here off of 2 as they head down the backstretch for the first time?
You're seeing already drivers getting a sense of the handling, giving each other space, 120 laps. A lot of things could go wrong in this series here tonight, but a big thing that could also help them. If they do get in trouble, there is a fast repair as the field's already trying to clog up, figure out which lane's going to be the dominant one to be in. Outside lane starting to close in, but they're shimmying a lot. That third car in line in the 7 really struggling off the exit of turn 4, but lap number 1, it's a drag race. Cross the line, give to Eric Anderson, leading lap number 1 on the outer lane.
Yeah, Anderson there with a pretty good push there from the 91 of Jennings. It's Armio in the 7, that kind of the third car in line there on the outside line. That's kind of the helper car. That's the car that really helps those two get a run on that outside line. You'll see, if that third car is not hooked up, that line won't get a good enough run. But down here down the backstretch, the 91 again with a huge shove to the back end of the 43. Better shove than what was on that bottom line. They're going to shoot out just a little bit here. But I think they're going to like to stay up top as everybody just starts to fall in line and ride 2 by 2. Sam is get these laps going.
In these laps already, big thing you want to think about, just clock laps down. Get into a rhythm and try not to be too aggressive early on. Yes, you have a fast rear to work with. You don't want to get too aggressive with it. I see Eric Anderson trying to run as well as he can, moving forward in that 45 machine. And currently, we've seen the dominance of the outside line, but it really comes down to drivers having to be close to one another, utilizing the potential. And it looks like right now, Trevor, the outside lane, finally the first run that we've seen all night long, where it looks like they're close enough to really work that outside lane to perfection.
Yeah, they got a really good run and hooked up with one another. You see it right there. Is a little bit of contact made.
Contact in the 7 out in the outside wall. They're able to hold on for now. Everyone's checking up. Oh no, big slip, big wreck, and drivers are flipping over, and the big one strikes on lap number 3, and only 7 drivers make it out clean.
Just like that, a little bit of a bad push as cars start to move down. I was surprised they decided to take that inside line there, Sam, but dropping out of the inside line, a little bit of bad touch there from Jennings to the back end of Anderson got him loose. that accordion effect through the field, we saw it right there. It takes out a handful of cars early on in this race.
Yeah, and big thing to watch out for. It's going to be the front runners on this replay, but a really hard contact for the 8 and the 60. That's going to be both of the left, which is caught up in this one. Everyone's trying to check up, but a bad bump to the 2, hooks the 8, gets into the 60, and away they go. Hard contact for that of the 60 machine. Father and son duo not happy about being involved with that one, and both getting on their sides for a quick moment, luckily landing on all 4. And as well, luckily, fast repairs are given to these drivers. Everyone has 1. And for the 60 and for the 8, both going to have to use their fast repair immediately for tonight.
Not an ideal situation for these guys having to use their fast repair on lap 4, but thankfully you do have that in your back pocket. And just a little bit of, I wouldn't say over-aggression, Sam, but just trying to fill out these cars early on in a run. And a bad touch here or there, and this is what happens at Daytona. You get a big one early on.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where visibility is a key factor that we haven't touched on just yet, but that was something we were going to get to at some point. It is so hard to see when there is a mistake going on. When we had the overview, we could see a lot easier from there, but in the actual cockpit of the cars, visibility when you're right behind someone, so hard to see. And Trevor, when you have drivers that are trying to slow down or jab the brake because there's an incident in front of them, it's hard to react when you're behind a driver like that.
Yeah, they call it the accordion effect. You as a driver, you let up, you hope the guy behind you realizes it, but in these cars, like you said, it's just so hard to see. You're so close to one another, tucked up behind them side by side with the guys. It's hard to move, slow down in time, and that's just what happens. It's just a late reaction, further on back in the field, get some guys turned around, and that's just one of those things that these drivers have to deal with throughout the course of the race, and unfortunately catches a handful of guys out early on.
Going to be getting a few drivers into pit road. Going to have to use their fast repair again. We were already expecting at least 2 of them. Going to be Donald Leftwich and as well Christopher Leftwich, both going to be using their fast repairs. A couple of other drivers going to be using their fast repair already early on. And I know for some, they always think, hey, we're going to hold on to this fast repair until we have terminal damage. Other drivers, it looks like, hey, let's just get our car fully fixed now, not worry about it until later on. And now their safety net is gone for about a handful of the drivers out there in the field.
Yeah, now I think you'll see that handful of guys that have used their fast repair. They might be the ones that we see hanging out in the back of the field forming that second group. Or, hey, why not just go up there, try to be, get up at the front. They say the safe spots at super speedway races is either up toward the front or at the very back of the field. But, that wreck started at the front of the field, so who knows what these guys are going to decide to do. But, yeah, that safety net is gone, Sam, so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out for them.
Well, here's our weather conditions for the start of the race. Air temperature going to be that of 78 degrees. Track temp, 90 degrees, a little bit warm. And as these runs progress and drivers have to deal with their tire wear, that could be a big issue that we touch on later on here tonight. The wind as well, going to be kind of fluctuating up to 11. And now you can see dropping down to 8 miles per hour. That movement could be something to worry about in the corners. But for now, the drivers under pacing feel very comfortable for themselves. Okay, with some of the drivers that have come into pit road, we do now have a little bit more of an accurate positioning on where drivers on fast repairs are at. As we were racing here at Daytona International Speedway, the drivers are set. A couple of drivers that use their fast repair are going to be the 4 of William Grentree, going to be using up their fast repair, as well as Darnell Leftwich, Christopher Leftwich, and a couple of others of Kevin Brown and Bruce Martin using their fast repair. So 5 drivers already losing their safety net, but the rest of the field stacking up and getting ready for this restart. I mean, Trevor, already starting to see drivers being very aggressive, maybe a little bit of a mistiming there with the move from the outside lane to the bottom, but I mean, that aggression, I'm not surprised knowing that, hey, these drivers have a fast repair, might as well use it. Now you can be aggressive, and there really isn't a lot of consequences to it.
No, not surprised at all. Maybe just a tad bit with how early that was, but that's kind of the mindset for drivers when you have that fast repair. Hey, I can be aggressive if I make a mistake. I have that safety net. Now you have a handful of drivers, 5 drivers who don't have that safety net. So what are they going to do? And then what are these guys up front going to do? We saw that wreck materialize with the leaders. Are they going to continue to be this aggressive, or are they going to back down, realizing that we still have, over 115 laps of this race to go?
Still a lot of racing, and we're going to be giving you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Again, if you're just joining with us and you're from the Doghouse Cup Series and you're used to watching these drivers, well, get ready for your new home here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on Thursday nights, as we are excited to be partnering of the Doghouse Racing League league to be seen. The Shawnee Cup drivers out there on track, and as well, big shout out to Shawnee sponsoring with Doghouse Racing League, and as well Group 6 going to be for this upcoming season. Great sponsors that will be giving shout outs throughout the season on Thursday night. So remember to subscribe if you want to stay in touch with the Doghouse Racing League. Well, the two front drivers up front going to be the 94 of Tyler Millette, as well as Jonathan Jennings. Jennings in the 91, the most dominant driver in this league's history. Look at the wins. He's the dominant one, and he's trying to take the lead here as we enter the restart zone, and the Daytona 300 is back underway. Rest of the field ramping it up to speed as we roar down into turn number 1.
A really good start there from the inside line. Outside line's gonna be a little bit disorganized going into 1, and that should give Jennings the advantage that he needs going into turn number 1 to hang on to that lead. The outside line just now getting grouped up halfway through 1 and 2. It's gonna be that inside line Jennings along with Anderson, and I believe that's gonna be the 24 of McMahon that just jumps up to the outside in front of the 91. There's Sam going down the back straightaway.
Yeah, that move by the 24, very clean. Saw an opening, decided, hey, let's bounce it up to the top lane. Just talk about the Group 6. Well, 24's trying to get that Group 6 machine to the top of the board as they are ripping it on the top again. The draft, so important. The big thing, stay in line, stay in touch as close as you can, and you're able to make your lane move faster. And that's what the drivers up front are hoping to see, a little bit of group coordination. But as well, already seen the handling for these drivers with that warm track temp we saw of 90 degrees. Going to be an issue later on in the runs, but already on lap 8. Not too big of an issue to watch out for, but that top lane, they were staying attached. Jennings was getting right on McMahon's back bumper and trying to make it work, and once again, a huge run on the outside lane.
Yeah, huge run. Jennings showing that he's willing to be aggressive with these pushes. Again, just all over the rear bumper there. 24 down the back straightaway, and this is kind of where they caused issues earlier on when he was all over the rear end of the 43 of Anderson. Knows when to back off just into the corner there, got off the rear bumper, keeps that 24 straight. Now we're going to try to set him up here down the front straightaway as they come out of 4 to get right back on the rear bumper of that 24. You see the run that they get here, Sam, coming to the line.
Massive run, and the big thing here is those top 2 drivers in line. They are almost always full throttle and going aggressive. It's the 3rd driver in line that you have to circle. How well are they going to be able to stay grouped up with those front 2 in line? And right now we're seeing the outside lane, the 7 of Armio trying their best to stay attached. A little bit tough right now being that 3rd car in line, but trying their best. As you see the 5, Hunter Simpson, again, finished 2nd last season in the Cup Series to Jonathan Jennings, but the 5, well, maybe tonight, find a win and start the year off on some great momentum before that Cup Series season begins.
We'll try to see if you can get a win here. Like you said, start off with good momentum. Running in 4th right now, has an opportunity to drop to that inside line and become the leader, but I think these guys are just feeling really comfortable in that outside line. As they say that, a little bit of movement. Armio drops down to the bottom. The 2 leaders as well drop down to the bottom, and that's actually going to leave Simpson as the leader in that outside line. Just like that, Sam, a little bit of movement up front.
A lot of movement. Decided to drop down low. Kind of surprised to see that type of a move. As we talked about visibility, this is what some of the drivers are seeing right now on screen. On the backstretch, you can't see nothing. As we ride on board with Jonathan Smith in the 99. Just trying to stay in line. And Trevor, as someone that drives in multiple leagues yourself, what is it like being in these next-gen cars, just trying to follow the driver ahead of you here at these super speedways?
It's a handful, and not in terms of a handling wise. It's just kind of a handful mentally in all of that. You're right on top of somebody. There's really no room to go. You're trying to manage the gap to the car in front of you, the car behind you. You know when to push, when not to push, and so I mean you're working the wheel. You're mentally just trying to focus at all times. So it's a handful out there, but it's a lot of fun, especially in these cars, because you can move them around a lot and be pretty aggressive, and they can take a pretty good push from each other.
We're seeing that push and bumping really working well for a front 2. Justin McMahon, Jonathan Jennings really showing the power of working together. As we've been right on board, the leader of the inside lane, Eric Anderson, just sitting in wait. Odds hoping that maybe the drivers behind him can get better in line, give a better push off the exterior of the corner, but they got to make this movement pretty soon, because as this run progresses forward, we'll be seeing a lot more movement all throughout the middle of the lane, especially if this inside groove drops any further back.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see that groove start to work in there, if they do fall back. And the other question, Sam, when will we see a 3rd line? This track plenty wide for 3-wide racing. When will we see that? We've seen it happen early in other leagues, and in other times, just the end of the race, will these guys with that fast repair willing to be aggressive to see if they can make a third line work?
Yeah, and who's willing to make that movement? Maybe, again, we talked about in the first handful of laps, we're kind of feeling out where drivers want to be before they make some of these big moves. We're only on lap 12, 120, so there's still plenty of time to set up these big moves, but some drivers taking it easy and trying to stay out of trouble. And you can see this lead pack side by side inside the row. Really got a good run there off the exit of turn 4 and are keeping it side by side. It's a drag race down into turn number 1. Eric Anderson as well as Justin McMahon having a great duel between one another. But talking about when we're going to see that inside lane get working, well, they are working currently. Big runs for themselves as other drivers having some slight issues, and I think a driver got into the outside wall through 1 and 2, and that was Jonathan Smith in the 99. He's going to lose touch and falling back to the second pack. Drivers are taking it very easy, all the way back in 22nd and 23rd position.
Yeah, second pack really starting to form up here as we drop back, and it's led by Christopher Leftwich right now in the 8, but they're going to catch Jonathan Smith in the 99, who, like you said, got to that outside wall, and you see how much momentum it took out of that 99 machine. So he's going to go to the back end of this pack. But this is, led by those guys that, took their fast repair early on, and so now they're going to ride here in the back, and some other drivers who just feel it's safer back here, Sam. And this is what super speedway racing is. You'll have the lead pack, and then guys hanging back, 4 or 5 seconds off of that, just running and logging laps.
Well, if we're looking at a driver that's got the most momentum coming into the season, when we think about super speedways, here is the driver to keep your eye on, that of Daniel Wilkerson, going to be the main driver to watch out for. Big reason why, last season for 2023 season 3, won both super speedway races at the Atlanta Super Speedway in Talladega to finish off the season. All momentum pushes the 78 currently, who is sitting back at 23rd, but again, I think everyone's recognizing the big one can strike again up front because all those drivers still have their fast repair.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen at any time. Right now, that group kind of starting to, I wouldn't say single file out, but that top lane has lost a lot of momentum now, falling back to battling there, it looks like, for about 7th position with that outside line as they're still trying to form up, but just kind of not getting enough momentum off the corners. You can see them all kind of just stacking or checking up on top of one another and losing more momentum to that inside line. And it'll be interesting, Sam. Will it single file out, or are they going to keep it 2x2 as that outside line still tries to gain a little bit of momentum, but just not enough help from one another?
And I think the big reason why could be that outside lane having some slight issues. We've now grouped into 3 separate packs. We have this lead group, a second pack, and a third, as Bruce Martin going to put down the fastest lap so far here tonight. But you've seen this outside lane kind of dissipates. Kind of a shocker, but I think it could be coming down to drivers just not feeling comfortable on that top side again. You have to run right on the limit on that outside lane. If you make a slight mistake, you're into the outside wall. For the drivers on the inside lane, make a mistake, you could be moving up into another driver side by side. Is risky, even with the amount of space that we have these drivers at this track.
It really is, and like you said, you're just on the ragged edge all the time, especially on that outside line. There's not a lot of room for error. You either go down the racetrack into the inside, the car inside of you, or you just go up and get stuck into the wall and go all the way to the back of the field. So it's just playing that game of inches for these guys. And right now, on board with, I believe that's the 24 of Justin McMahon there, trying to lead that outside line back up to the front. He's got help from Jonathan Jennings, who we've seen be a great pusher. Sam, just they're not getting that run that we were seeing them get earlier on. And again, just kind of stuck back there in that 7th and 8th position.
Yeah, and talking about the importance of the third driver in line, really have to stay pretty close to the driver ahead if you want to be making that move. But then if you're not moving forward and you're close to one another, that's when you got to ask the driver behind them to get a little bit closer. And that's where we're seeing the pole sitter, 94, of Tyler Millett, really not closing in. And everyone kind of looks to be in a let's just sit here and not put the pressure on. As on the other side of things, you've got the 24 of McMahon and Jennings saying, hey, we want to start going and being aggressive, want to put the pressure on, get up front, lead this race, because the only true safe place to be most of the time is to be the leader.
Yeah, really the only true safe place. But having said that, I mean, we saw the leader cause the first caution of the night, so who knows where the real safe place is on the racetrack. But right now, I'd tell you that Eric Anderson there in the 43, the current leader, I bet you he's feeling pretty good out front as now that outside line getting a little bit of momentum built up. Here comes the 24 of McMahon with Jennings pushing him. They've made it up to the 4th place car on that inside line, which is going to be the 57 of David Halsey, and trying to see if they can get a good run here out of 4 like they did out of 2.
Trying to stay attach, big run, the yo-yo, back and forth. Sometimes it's the outside lane that's got that lead strength. Sometimes the inside lane, it just looks like with the power of too many cars in line, the inside groove is just too powerful as they head down into turn number 1. Top 4 drivers really looking strong up front currently, giving each other space, keeping their momentum. And I think that's the big factor of keeping your momentum, not scrubbing off speed. That's another factor that these drivers always have to focus on if you want to be the lead driver and keep your lane ahead.
Yeah, you can see it throughout the runs. You can see kind of like you mentioned the yo-yo effect. Cars getting close to one another, then backing way off. You got to manage that gap to the car in front of you. You can't have that big run up to them and then slow down a lot. That's what kills the momentum of these lines. And usually it's that inside line where we see that happen a lot. That's what makes that outside line so dominant around here or around Daytona. And right now it's that outside line that's kind of had that yo-yo effect going on. The inside line being much more manageable with their runs toward one another, keeping them out in front.
Keeping themselves out of trouble, but putting on a great show. Thank you again for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up in the booth is Trevor Earhart. Big shout out to our producer, Robert Moyer Jr. As you're watching the Doghouse Racing League Daytona, 320 laps in the books. About to be 100 laps to go. Eric Anderson leads the way. Currently, the field is split up into 3 different groups. We've got the lead pack that we've been keeping our camera on screen. There's the second group that's about to be merged into just 2, and then the third that's been very backed off. A lot of drivers that were caught up in our first wreck on lap 3 trying to keep themselves out of trouble. This is where we see our second pack being led by the one of Jason Palmer, who is keeping himself out of trouble. He's got Andrew Lucas right behind him, but staying in line, trying to keep themselves, in a comfortable spot. But in line, at least gives you the chance of, okay, if we need to go and catch up to the lead pack, we have the ability.
Yeah, they can make that hard push if they feel like they need to get up there. Only about 4.5 seconds back from the tail end of that lead group, but getting caught by that third pack. So we're going to have one giant pack of cars from about 16th all the way to the end of the field. Is that third pack led by Christopher Leftwich there in the 8. You can see just already caught up to the rear end of that second group. That's going to be Richard McClurk there in the 17 that they're catching up, and they're going to have a pretty good run here. We'll have to see if we're on board with the 8, what he's going to decide to do. He's going to take it to the outside line, so we're going to have 2x2 racing here, Sam, not only at the front, but here in the backpack.
Yeah, but I think they were hoping to maybe have a little bit more momentum to make this pass immediate. Curious on who's willing to move up side drafting. In fact, we haven't touched on a lot yet, but that is something that could hurt this group if they stay side by side and too close to one another. You can see the side drafting, the momentum just completely snuffed out right when they enter the corner. Seeing the 8 of Leftwich as well as seeing the 78 of Daniels trying to make that move on the outer groove, and they've got the more drivers in line that are packed in a lot cleaner. It just looks like they are just not able to make this clean pass efficiently as Kevin Brown and that yellow machine. So easy to spot. I love it when we see drivers with schemes that are easy to spot. Trevor, you're one of them on our Wednesday night series that we cover on the WSSR that are very easy to spot with your lime green machine out there in that Gen 4 Cup cars.
Yeah, it makes it fun. Makes you stand out. Kind of one of those memorable paint schemes for the broadcasters, and kind of always a nice little joking point to have. Like, oh, hey, there's that bright, in this case, yellow car, bright green car in my case. Which, it's just a fun paint scheme to have, and always love to see other bright schemes out there. And right now, that second line finally getting a little bit clear, but something that you kind of touched on there for a second, the side drive, you can see how far apart these guys are trying to stay from one another. And it's because that side drive is so effective here. It can really kill the momentum, and half that looks like top line, able to clear everybody else trying to filter in line here in the back half of this field, and can combine into one group and see if they can catch back up to the front.
Trying their best. You're going to see Donald Leftwich, father of also Christopher Leftwich, 60 machine, one of the few drivers of 5 that had to use their fast repair to start off the last restart. Got up in that first big one on lap 3. Seeing the drivers trying to get in line. Okay, if we were able to slot some of them in, others were hoping to get to that inside row, but at this point, this is when you got to get everyone to work together, get in line, stay attached, and try to put on the best pressure you can moving forward. And this will be a little bit of disputing on where you want to place yourselves, but I think once this group finally gets jostled in line and able to tackle and move forward, they should be able to catch this lead pack that's getting a little bit more aggressive and antsy with one another. We're 25 laps into this race, and I know we're a little bit maybe too far out from thinking too big picture on pitting, but these drivers do have 100% fuel load to work with here tonight. And Trevor, I'm looking at where drivers are placed throughout this field. The lead pack is very interesting. There's about half the drivers in the lead pack that have pitted under that last yellow, and the half of them that haven't pitted at all. And they're going to be thinking about pit stops here probably in the next 10 to 15 laps.
Yeah, 10 to 15 laps, and depending on how much you've led, it can be a little bit shorter than that. If you're the lead car, really can kind of hurt your fuel economy that you're getting. So it's going to be something that they're also going to have to worry about. But, and again, and like you said, I mean, if you've already made your pit stop, that's going to get you maybe two or three more laps. And then the guys that haven't made their pit stop yet, so that's going to be played into this. And as well, who do you come down pit road with? You don't want to come down pit road by yourself like you typically see at a normal racetrack. You need to come down in groups, and you've got to be organized in doing so. And with pit stops being in the next 10 laps or so, Sam, I think you're going to start seeing these guys in the next 5 or so start to get organized to get ready for those pit stops.
Yeah, pit stop's going to be key. Watching out as well as if we stay green and there is no caution before pit stops begin. Drivers could be in a situation where pit road, you could lose touch to the lead pack that you want to be with. You can make major mistakes that could penalize you. You get caught speeding into pit road or speeding while going into your box. There are a lot of separate ways that you can already ruin your race to start the night off, as we still have plenty of racing action here tonight. As Eric Anderson leads the way still for the 43 machine. Justin McMahon leading the outside row as everyone in the middle just trying to settle in where they're going to feel the most comfortable, as we're seeing a little bit of spacing in between these groups. But brand new league drivers as well. Majority of these drivers are new to us here on Fast Broadcasting. It's the majority. So when the league is getting introduced to drivers that maybe are starting their iRacing career, or those that are in development, some that take this as a hobby. It's one of those leagues where I think half the field really taking it seriously, others are here to have fun. And I love when we have that mixed bag of drivers. You really get to learn their personalities. As let's take a look at the back half of the back of drivers that are trying to make this third pack work, that are taking it easy, that have fallen away from that second group that we saw that was kind of all grouped up together. A little bit of mistakes, drivers backing off, and some saying, I don't want to get into a danger zone, so we're just going to give each other plenty of space back here.
Yeah, Donald Leftwich, one of those drivers that was battling in that second pack all the way back here at the back in this third pack, being led now by, I believe, the 6th of Kevin Thompson. You have Andrew St. Cor there as well. Nicholas Atwood with a 0 on board. We're watching the 45 here of Gary Clune, and these guys kind of all the way a little bit further back in that second pack, just out here logging laps, waiting for that first round of pit stops, waiting probably for the end of this race, the late race caution, to get up there, Sam, and get aggressive, keeping that fast repair safe in their back pocket.
Yeah, so I'm curious on how is this going to work. And these are drivers that all are in very similar situations where they all were caught up in that first wreck and decided to come to pit road, got service on fuel and most likely tires as well when they came to pit road. So how are they going to adjust to the lead pack that's going to have to be pitting here very shortly? As no new league, new drivers, and let's get to know some of them. One of them is on screen, the 12 machine of Andrew St. Cor, a driver that's been running and a lot here in the Doghouse Racing League. Combined to talk about all the different series that Doghouse has ran. A lot of drivers have dabbled into all of those, and overall Doghouse Racing career-wise, St. Cor has ran 101 starts, as that is the 12th most of all drivers have ran in the Doghouse Racing League, and is 4th in the all-time wins list, 11 wins total, and was the 2022 Season 2 Cup Series champion. So it's 12. Someone to keep our eyes out on Thursday nights. A previous champion that I'm excited to see what they're going to bring out for this season on Thursday nights.
Yeah, definitely one that you're going to have to watch out for with those statistics. And, you know, as a fan that's going to tune in, definitely going to be watching out for the 12 machine and see what he can do. What can he do here tonight? Running all the way back here in 26th position right now. Has a little bit of draft help, but we go back up to the front. And again, these guys haven't let up much here, Sam. Just the 24 there of McMahon trying to get back up to the front. He's been exchanging the lead up there with Jonathan Jennings in the 43 of believe it's I'm sorry, give me a second there, of Anderson. There we go. Trying to learn new names. It happens sometimes, but yeah, him and Anderson been up there changing the lead, but lost a little bit of momentum here out of 4, trying to get that run back, built back up, see if he can get back up there and get that lead spot back.
Yeah, new names, new cars. It's tricky for all of us. We also want to say if we ever butcher any of these names, we hope for good graces. It's going to take us a couple of races before we fully are immersed with everyone's names being proper. And if drivers are really watching this back, please let us know. Message us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Let us know if we did pronounce your name wrong, you have to pronounce it properly. As the drivers up front, still Eric Anderson and McMahon leading their front lanes, and everyone else trying to see where they want to place themselves. And you might have been seeing the driver in the middle. What were they doing? Well, that's the 9 of Stephen Bonomo, who was just running that middle groove. And honestly, that's my favorite place to watch for the back half of a group, because you are able to see everything if something goes wrong in front of you.
Yeah, this is a perfect spot to run when you're at the back end of the group, because you can see, like you said, you can see everything around you. You can make evasive maneuvers if something were to go wrong in front of you. But right now, he's going to have the 2 car of Bruce Martin close up behind him, so going to kind of take that middle groove away from the 9 machine. But nonetheless, those two just at the tail end of that outside groove, just kind of running their own race. And you can see Martin there in the 2. Or I'm sorry, we're still on board with the 9 here. As you can see him just kind of giving space to the 5 in front of him, drop down here to the middle so he can see everything in front of him and set himself up for a safe position if need be.
Yeah, and you're poking the nose out for a multitude of reasons for drivers. If you're right behind someone, poking the nose, trying to get your engine a little bit more fresh air, and as well, visibility, big factor to watch out for. But Trevor, that was something I was hearing over the radio with some of the drivers in the second pack, when they were getting very aggressive, trying to push up and catch up the lead pack. They were talking about engine temps. What is the engine temps, and why are drivers talking about it to one another in their team chats?
The temperature is important. You get that a little bit too high, you can seriously blow the engine out of the car, and it's something that you got to watch out for. You got to gauge on the on your dashboard that will indicate and start flashing red when it gets hot. And these cars, you can get right up underneath the rear bumper and push for about a lap and a half before it gets too hot, and it's going to be in the sim there. It's going to be the top. I believe it's the top left, the oil temperature. Or I'm sorry, top right. To be the oil temperature gauge, and you can't really in the sim when you're in the cockpit. It has a digital number. Unfortunately, on our broadcast, it doesn't show you the number. But when that number starts flashing red, that's when you'll see drivers get out from behind one another, get some clean air on that nose, and back up to get that number down. Because the last thing you want to do, Sam, is have a blown motor when you're in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, and this is a big thing iRacing allows us. Happily, we're able to see what gear they're in, also RPMs. But again, we're not given that extra details or the amount of tire sets drivers have used. So we got to kind of keep that number in our own brains when we're looking at our own live timing. But iRacing doesn't want to give too much of an advantage to drivers that are in spectate mode or spotting for other drivers. That's why we're not able to see those oil temps. But we're seeing a lot of movement. Usually that's either a driver's handling has gone away, or they're trying to keep that engine temp cooled off. As we are 35 laps in the books, and now we start to wonder, when will pit stops happen for this front pack? That's where the majority of drivers decided not to come to pit road under our first yellow are situated. There's about 8 of them that are in a position where they're going to have to pit sooner than everyone else. And I think the tough thing for those 8 drivers, majority of them have been leading this race, so they have really been using up that fuel.
Yeah, this is where it's going to get really fun to watch is when these pit stops happen. You're going to have cars diving off the racetrack, cars coming at full speed behind them, trying to avoid. Will we see the inevitable third line of the pit lane happen? That's going to be the real question, because that's when it can get really interesting for these guys. And then how do you handle pit road? I mean, you're going to see these guys fan out 4 or 5, maybe 6 wide coming to pit road, trying to get to their box, trying not to speed. And that's going to be the key thing. Cannot afford to make a mistake here and lose a bunch of time and go a lap down.
Cannot at all. As driver leading the way, Justin McMahon, driver that has found himself as champion in the Doghouse Racing League before in many a different series, winner of the season 1 in 2022 in the ARCA series, and as well won the Truck Series in 2023 for season 1, and then also finished second for season 2. Was finished second a couple of times in the Truck Series and in the Cup Series. And right now, McMahon leading that inside row, hoping to get into victory lane, but he's got to figure out how to beat the 91 of Jonathan Jennings. Other drivers that are sitting in this front group, Chuck Cobbs, just sitting, waiting, and seeing where to place themselves. There's a little bit of a wiggling move there from the 5 and the 9 on the outside lane. And again, drivers talk about tire wear. We're 37 laps in. These drivers that did not pit for tires, they're starting to feel the pain now as we can stay green and hoping for the cloud covers to drop to give them a little bit more cooling on the track temp. It has dropped slightly down to 88 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, feeling a little bit of pain, especially on the corner exit. You get the car too close to you, it gives you a little bit of a bump. That tire, you're already going to be a little bit slick off corner exit. The car unloads. So a little bit of a wrong bump on these worn tires could really cause some chaos for these drivers. And we'll have to see if it's going to play out. I'm sure they're going to be really happy, same when they come down to get fresh rubber. But that's the other thing. You can get away with not taking left side tires. They don't wear out as much as the rights. It's the right sides that the drivers are going to worry about. So will we see 2 tires or 4 tires on these pit stops?
Strategy is going to come down under this first pit stop. We're seeing a few drivers deciding just to top off on fuel that came in under our first finish on lap 3. But for this field, it's about to be setting up for a green flag pit stop. If we get to that point, wherever you live, green flag pit stop, that's going to be a key factor. Watch out on the tires that are taken. It's going to be on the amount of time spent in pit road. Are they willing to spend that extra 5 seconds to get 4 sets of tires, or will they stick with the shorter pit stop? That's going to keep them up front and minimize some of these mistakes. As big diving move from the 94. Tyler Millette could be trying that inside lane, setting up with Jonathan Jennings. And oh no, they clip right spin, and another strike here off the exit of turn 4 as more drivers are piling in and wrecking after the fact.
Yep, more contact made there with the 7, as I believe he got into the 41, but it all started a little bit of a bump off corner exit and upset the race car, and here we go, same with another crash right as we were getting ready for those pit stops.
And the second pack is trying to slow down to not get involved with any more after-the-fact incidences, but from talking about pit stops, this wreck sets up perfectly for drivers. This is right around the window. I think some might have been thinking to take their first stop, but here we go, taking another look at this, the aggressive dive bomb move, and once again, very similar, where aggressive dive bomb moves kind of just rattles all the way through the field, and one big slip up collects the majority of the drivers in that front pack.
Yeah, I believe it was the 5 machine that got into the back of the 7 there. So Hunter Simpson in the 5, I believe, got in the back of the 7 of Armio that really set that wreck off, that sent him to the inside line and caused the crash there as we try to get another angle of the replay. But it looked like, Sam, just a bad bump off the exit of 4 that started that chain of events. That
14D machine going to be one of the drivers caught up with required damage. As we take another look at this incident again, closing in is Hunter Simpson from Armio's back bumper, and just talked about back bump, just a simple tap, and it collects the rest of the drivers piling in. Simpson able to slow down though, so minimizing some of the mistake, but then piles in once again. And going to be just moving forward. That was that extra contact, collecting a few more drivers as right on board with the 5 machine. Just a small tap, clips, and away they go.
Just a small tap right there, not really centered up at the rear bumper of the 7. And that's all it takes. That little bit of a bump sets off a chain reaction. It sees 7 to 8 cars, or 7 to 9 cars involved in that. And Samson there just almost had it slowed down, almost got through it, but that little bit of extra contact here is going to cause him to. I don't know if not sure if he used his fast repair right there, Sam, or if he just got the damage fixed. But either way, for Hunter Simpson, gonna have to go get that damage repaired either way.
Yeah, I gotta get those damage repaired for those drivers. And for us, we're gonna actually step away for our first commercial break of the night as the drivers get their second caution off of pit road. It's gonna be Jonathan Jennings, Hunter Simpson, Justin McMahon, as well as Leroy, David Halsey, and the rest of the field prepared and ready for more racing action. 80 laps to go for the Daytona 300 as the Doghouse Racing League is giving us some great racing action, but we will be right back to Go Green after this. 5 wide behind for 5th.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's
Bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crumford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity driving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck
Oh,
him.
they wrecked! They wrecked each other! The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they gotta be careful. Oh no! The 4 demolishes in the 28. Well, even with that commercial break, we're still trying to count and see how many drivers have their fast repairs and those that have used it. About half the field have now used their fast repair. The other half still have that safety net to work with. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth is Trevor Earhart, Rob Morgan Jr. running productions in the background. Well, the Doghouse Cup Series going to be sponsored by Shoney's in Group 6. Excited to have them partnering up for the Thursday night coverage of the Cup Series. Tonight, though, it's a fundraising race. The drivers are having fun out there on track, kind of a preseason race, you could say, before the clash that the drivers will have next week. But tonight, it is the Doghouse Racing League Daytona 300. It's been a lot of drivers up front. Adam Jonathan Jennings, Justin McMahon as well. Got to see some other drivers like Eric Anderson up front. But after our second big wreck of the evening, drivers got done with their first official, what expected to be pit stop. And now it's time for us to get back to green flag action here tonight. Pace car pulls into pit road. The Daytona 300 enters the restart zone. The drivers get ramped up. And here we go. It's the start of less than 80 laps to go here tonight.
And Jennings with a great jump, actually going to get clear of the 24 of McMahon, going to jump out of that inside line. Here comes the 5 of Hunter Simpson. Used his quick repair after that wreck, but stayed up there in the front, going to be in that 3rd position. As that outside line really did not get a good restart there, Sam, and they're falling way back. I believe it's going to be led by the 2 of Bruce Martin. It's going to be that first car in the outside line, but already dropping back to that of 7th, 8th position. So he's actually going to try to get down and fall in line right in front of the 9 machine.
Yeah, and that absolute fall away of the drivers wanting to be on that outside lane could come down and drivers thinking about pit stops. If they're able to stay green, drivers might be thinking about trying to salvage this run, stretch their fuel out, and try to turn this race into a one-stop from here. And curious on if it's going to be slow down, keep your pace down. Curious about that, as this field all in line currently, and the drivers that were willing to work on the outside lane really did this race and staying down low.
Yeah, just decided to go down low. I don't know if it's being patient or just where they want to be comfortable at right now. The outside line really trying to form up and work its way forward. It's going to be led by the 41 of Andy Cork that's trying to work his way forward. He's side by side with the 4 of William Gentry, and this is back for that of 11th and 12th position. He's got the 1 machine of Jason Palmer pushing him to 47, as well as Ty Shoeing there, trying to form this outside line and get up to the front. But right now, just kind of lagging back in the back, and that's where we're seeing the side-by-side action.
Well, we're starting to see drivers, that outside lane's grouping up, a little bit of wiggling, but their momentum's about to build up, and why not give us a chance to crank it up, get a sense of what these drivers are feeling as they roar down into turn number 1. that crank it up segment. You're gonna hear the roar of these drivers. That outside lane will move up to that around 5th place. We're seeing Christian Leftwich going to be leading that group, currently having the help of the 41 also behind as they are trying their best to move forward, but still kind of stalling out. It's the leading group of Jonathan Jennings, Justin McMahon, and Hunter Simpson, some of the fastest drivers from the past couple of seasons here in the Doghouse Racing Cup Series, and they continue to prove it even here tonight, being those top 3 drivers. The rest of the field to try to figure out how to slot themselves in line to move up and try to make a pass, but we've already passed, kind of separated, from drivers. We've got some that are completely off the pace, others that have fallen into their own groups, and here's 2 of them that have really fallen away from the lead pack. That's going to be the 3 of Michael Skimina, going to be going to the outside lane, letting the 7 of Gary Armio going to be working the inside lane as they're falling back to our 2nd pack and falling back to our 3rd as one driver has completely lost the draft. That's going to be Mark Dumont, who's just by himself at 32nd position. But Trevor, already seeing drivers deciding, hey, let's back out of it. We don't want to be involved in any of this chaos up front. Still too much racing to feel comfortable up front in the lead pack.
Yeah, not at all surprising. And some of these guys further back here in the back half, these are guys that use their fast repair early on. Some guys haven't even used the fast repair at all. They just feel more comfortable here at the back. As you can see, the 99 of Jonathan Smith, he's catching up to the 3 and the 7 of Armio and Skimia as they've lost the lead pack. Now they're going to fall in line with the 2nd pack right here. That's got the 99, the 60 of Donald Leftwich, Larry Coblins back here, as well as Baker Knapp. Some drivers that we haven't talked about, Sam, that are just cruising around here at the back of the field, just logging laps until the end of this race.
Yeah, logging laps again. There's still one more pit stop that we're expecting here tonight, and allowing these drivers to give their own spacing with one another. We got Leroy in the 42 machine, just sitting behind, waiting in the wings. Where do you want to go? Sitting in line, usually the better positioning if you're the 2nd group, as if you're side by side, that side draft, in fact, we got touched on a little bit, really can hurt a group in a pack from running as fast as they can. And I was curious if we were going to be seeing drivers, putting down fast laps, if maybe they were taking it easy on that initial start. It looks like, Trevor, looking at the lap times, they are not cooling down at all. Some of these drivers are still about 1/10 off of their fastest lap that they put down here tonight.
Yeah, not relaxing it one bit, just using every bit of the draft that they can to log these laps and stay as competitive. These guys at the back not going to be running near their fast laps as they're just kind of back here riding around, but still trying to be quick enough that they don't fall too far away from the lead pack and have to worry about going a lap down. As you can see, the 43 of Eric Anderson jumping out of line to go to the tail end of this 2nd group. He gets passed there by Kevin Brown in the 33. But these guys back here just running about a tenth slower than what their fastest laps are, just out here for basic Sunday drive until they feel like it's time to go.
Trying to find their way moving forward. Daniel Wilkerson also just in slow down, take it easy, even a part of this lead pack. Also having our pole sitter of Tyler Millette going to be caught up with these drivers. Again, some of the drivers up here have used their fast repair, but half the drivers up here have already done so after being caught up in the first wreck, and that 2nd one was heavy damage. And I'm kind of surprised. Again, we talked about how these cars can take kind of a good beating when you're bump drafting, but they could take quite a beating also if you're caught up in a wreck. It's really the RPMs that you're worried about engine-wise if you're caught up in a wreck, and some aerodynamic cosmetic damage if you grab that. I was expecting a lot of drivers maybe to hold on to that fast repair for later on in this race, but it looks like drivers are saying, hey, if I'm caught up in a wreck, I'm using that fast repair immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you can get away in the next gen car. You can get away with the body damage. It's a lot more fixable than it was in the Gen 6 car. The one thing you really got to worry about is the toe link damage in these machines. That you could really kind of hurt your tire wear throughout the course of a run if it's too significant. But here at Daytona, the thing you really have to worry about isn't so much the body damage, because you can get it fixed, but it's the engine damage that these guys got to worry about. And if you feel like you've lost too much RPM, it might be worth taking that fast repair. Even though you might not have had a lot of body damage, that engine damage could be really detrimental for these drivers.
That certainly can, as other drivers that are sitting in the back, running in 15th place. Got William Gentry, who's just taking it easy. Gentry, part of the top 15 drivers of all-time starts in all the different series that have ran. And for Gentry, he's got 3 wins total in all the series that he's ran, but his most recent win was back in 2022. Get back to victory lane as the Ford machine after winning all the way back in March 29th, 2022 at Phoenix. Open maybe 2 years later, almost a full 2 years later, as Ford's back in victory lane in a Doghouse Racing League scenario.
I mean, what better place to find yourself in victory lane than here at Daytona, one of the most famous racetracks out there. And what a good way to start off your next season by winning the kind of unofficial first race of the season here. It'd be a great kickstart for the season for the Ford machine of William Gentry.
As well as other drivers, some having some of their first runs. You see the schemes, different colors, similar schemes. Andrew Lucas in the 77, as well as seeing other schemes in front of a very similar lead. Teammates trying to run together. That's a factor that coming into that you aren't given a roster of who's on which teammates. But it's easy when the schemes are similar. That's who you can say circle up. Okay, we know those guys will work together.
Yeah, that's gonna be the nice thing to know for you and Zach going into the season, which guys are on teams, and kind of can see what teams do you think are going to be strong, and kind of tells you which drivers are going to work well together when you get to these types of tracks like Daytona, Talladega, in Atlanta, these speedway tracks where having that teammate help is so important.
It's so crucial to find that teamwork. Who can you trust? And also, when you're watching a race like tonight, kind of giving you that preview before the season starts. Hey, who are drivers that I can trust to be around? Who's looking a little bit more reckless? But tonight's slightly different from what we're going to be seeing on Thursday nights. Tonight's race, a fixed setup lead that the drivers are working with. There's a little bit of a shimmy through the travel there on the outside. Almost had bumps as they will survive through that chaos. But the big difference from tonight going on in the Cup Series when we get to the regular season is moving from a fixed setup league to an open setup league. These drivers are going to have complete control of how they want their cars to be working week in and week out once Thursday night begins.
Yeah, it's going to be the real interesting thing to see how that plays out. So a fixed setup, for those of you who aren't aware, the driver really only has a couple of adjustments. You can change how fast the steering rack is in the car. You can change the brake bias and the brake setup, and that's pretty much about all the changeability options that a driver has in a fixed setup. Whereas you get into the open setup leagues, I mean, these guys are going to have spring rates, dampers, and all the fun stuff that the actual NASCAR teams have. These guys get to change and play around with, and that can really show you who's good at building a car and who can, and what setups guys really like to run.
Yeah, it's so excited to be joining up with the new league. Is big shimmy there off the exit as the 81 has a scare for himself. Just Chuck Cobb able to hold on there for a quick moment. Luckily, everyone able to get some space to one another as front grouping exit of the corner. Still tricky spot, hold on. But again, with getting to know some of these drivers, threw out a couple of forums. Hey, what type of a setup are these drivers looking for? And a lot of them are saying they're looking for balance. Some are saying they want a slight loose machine, and ultimately they're all looking for some long run pace. So we're going to see how these drivers, their comfort levels into Thursday night. So Thursday will officially start January 25th as the drivers will have their Shawnee Clash at Nashville Fairgrounds. Drivers were voting on where they wanted to have that Clash race at, and Nashville Fairgrounds was the one that won. And then the drivers get prepared for the duels. We'll have 2 dual races, Duel 1 and Duel 2, on February 1st, and the official start of the season is going to be February 8th on Thursday night. The drivers will be tackling 80 laps at Daytona and see who will start off the new season, Season 1 of 2024. Excited for it as that outside lane completely gone. Single file is the call for the field up front.
Yeah, they kind of just left the 8 there of Leftwich just kind of out to dry by himself in that outside line. Christopher Leftwich there trying to get to the bottom, just nowhere for him to go, as everybody just decided, hey, we're going to run single file, click off some laps until that last pit stop, and then maybe go for it from there. We'll see. He's got a little bit of space to get down, but electing to just stay on that outside line. We'll have to see how far back he's going to fall, being that lone car up there.
Got a little bit more spacing in between the 1 and the 47, but the side draft keeps him too close, and once again, the driver's waiting and finally able to slot in the line. This whole entire front pack now single file as they get prepared for this run, about to hit the halfway marker of this race. And Trevor, something we touched on when we were covering the Daytona 500 a couple of weeks ago on a Sunday night, it was the fact of fatigue. Running 120 laps, a long race, 300 miles, and we just hit the halfway marker. These drivers, again, just said it on the broadcast. Their official Daytona race is only going to be 80 laps. We're adding an extra 40 laps on top of this. These drivers' fatigue may be a big issue later on.
It could be. It's not the physical fatigue that they really have to worry about. Really, Daytona's a pretty smooth racetrack. At least this configuration of it. If you go back to the previous scan of Daytona 08, really bumpy. That one has the physical fatigue factor to it. This one's more the mental fatigue with how close you are, the runs you can generate in these next gen cars. It's more the mental fatigue, the mental fortitude that these drivers have to put up with for these 300 miles, and that's really that's really what can get to these drivers. We've already seen a couple of just little mistakes. As this gets later into the race, will we see those little mistakes turn into bigger mistakes? That's going to be the real question for these guys.
Want to stay out of trouble as much as you can. As we've been keeping our eye on the lead pack, we officially have two distinctive different groups that are out there on track. We've got our top, that of 18 drivers in this lead pack, and here's where we find our second grouping of drivers side by side, and almost 13 seconds off the leader is where we find that of the three machine of Michael Skimna, as well as that of Baker Knapp, going to be leading this group side by side. Interesting call. But both of this second pack has been having an interesting run of going back and forth and kind of having their own yo-yo while losing touch to the leaders.
Yeah, they were single file at one point. Now it's side by side with one another, and kind of vice versa from what we see from the lead pack. Lead pack was side by side. Now they're single filed out, and these guys trying to, just get jockey for position. Maybe feel like, hey, if I can get to the front, I can lead this line back up to that lead pack. But right now, side by side, just trying to work their way into a position where they feel comfortable. And that outside line losing a little bit of ground to that inside line, but down the back straightaway, trying to get that draft help back up, being led by, I believe, that 3-car of Skimia.
Skimia trying to work the outside lane. We have officially lost one driver of our 32 that took the green, that being Mark Dumont. Dumont coming into this race has ran 60 different races in the Doghouse Racing League. Two of his wins, career wins that he's grabbed, were back at running two different series. That was the Big Dog Modified 2023 series, and as well the Sikkim Legend series of 2023. Both races were actually won at Myrtle Beach, so kind of a short track warrior was Dumont, but expecting big things as excited to see what Dumont's going to bring out in all the series. He's going to be running in 2024. Sadly, will not be able to finish out the Daytona 300, but we hope to see more of that 14 moving forward. As talking about moving forward, well, we saw there for a quick glimpse, 3 wide racing in the back half of the pack and massive checkups. Drivers got to be careful in this second pack as they are getting a little bit too antsy with one another. They're stuck 3 wide, and it's time for them to hold their breath through the tri-oval.
Yeah, it's going to be the 12 Andrew St. Croix that really started taking them 3 wide, and there we go. There they go. There's the contact.
Contact sideways, and the yellow flag is thrown as the second pack caught up in a mess. And it's going to be the 45 of Gary as well as the 6 of Kevin Thompson. And they just were squeezing too aggressively, and we saw it live. You saw the fact that they got 3 wide, a lot of big movements. I don't think everyone recognized what scenario they were in the back half of the pack. And just one small glance, and we saw multiple drivers involved.
Yeah, you see it right here coming through the tri-oval 3 wide. Back there with the 12, the 17, and the 33. But it's that little bit of contact. The 6 of Thompson goes up to the outside and just clips the rear end of the 45. I think the 45 might have moved up just a little bit. Didn't realize the 6 had that big of a run. And contact maybe between Gary Clune and Kevin Thompson is going to bring out our 3rd caution of the night.
I'm also curious, maybe there was a little bit of neck coat there between those drivers. I know there was a big move made between both of them. No, I re-looked at it. No net code. There is net code, as you can see on screen, as the drivers are locked in with one another until they're able to back up. But the contact that got them sideways and bringing out this yellow, just big moves made by both drivers that just those quick bang bang, quick reaction plays get drivers caught up in a mess. And luckily for both drivers that were involved, both the 45 and the 6, they both still have their fast repair, so the race is not officially done just yet here this evening. But Kevin Thompson and the 6 will have to use a fast repair due to required damage given these drivers. Required damage is a black flag with an orange circle indicating to the drivers themselves saying, hey, you have to come into pit road, get that damage repair. It is required to get repaired. And I know that sometimes, Trevor, drivers hate to see that required damage flag pop up.
Yeah, it looked like it was a broken toe link there for the 6 machine after having gotten into the outside wall. And that's one of those weird, required damage flags that these drivers can get, where it can be anywhere from 30 seconds to 8 minutes, just depending on the severity of that broken toe link. But it never a fun thing to see as a driver when that black and orange flag shows up in the top left of your screen.
Absolutely not, as majority of the field coming into pit road, as they were out there on track for around 25 laps from the last time they came into pit road under our last caution, so allowing drivers to get fuel, tires, and get back out on track. But surprisingly, I don't know why you wouldn't come into pit road. We have 4 drivers deciding staying out is going to be the goal for themselves. That's the 57 of David Halsey, Chuck Cobb, Jeffrey Wimmer, as well as Steven Garbert, all staying out on track. Gutsy call by those 4 drivers. Again, they're going to have to hit pit road in the next 10 to 15 laps. But I think they're recognizing, hey, we got at least one stop still to go. Might as well just stay out and, take the track position as you can take it now.
Yeah, take the track position. Interesting call. I mean, everybody that just pit still going to have to make another pit stop. I think for David, Chuck, and Jeff and Steve, I mean, I don't know if they can make it on just one more stop. It's going to be close. But if they can, it might be a good strategy call to stay out here. If they can run, maybe 15 more laps, it might put them in a window where they can make it, but it's going to be close, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, the last time that they hit pit road was around a lap 40 to 41, I believe, was the last time they hit pit road. And these drivers can go anywhere from 35 to 42 laps on fuel, and they were not leading any lanes. These drivers were in conserve mode. They were sitting back in wait in the lead pack. So I feel like also having these pace laps kind of gives them insurance of an extra more lap or 2 to save. So I think that they might be aiming around lap 80 to 85 be their range and coming into pit road and taking it to the end of the race. And if all 4 of them can have a clean stop, they could be in a spot to watch out for at the end of tonight if we're able to stay clean and green. Well, here's your race report. We've had 3 cautions so far. We've ran a total of 8, now make it 9 laps. We've had a total of 8 lead changes, and it's been a lot of bouncing back and forth between seeing drivers of Jonathan Jennings, as well as we saw Eric Anderson up front a lot. We've also seen Justin McMahon leading this race at moments. Now we get to see David Halsey be the lead driver in the 57. First time here tonight here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the Doghouse Racing League, the Daytona 300 in the Next Gen Cup car. Kind of a preseason race, a fundraising race for the drivers to get them money for the whole entire 2024 to help out the league, giving prizes to drivers as they come and race in this league. It's been a pleasure for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting to partner up with Doghouse Racing League. But here tonight, it's myself, Sam Dyer, got Trevor Earhart in the booth with me as well, and running production this evening is Robert Moyer Jr. Trevor, so far, now we're into the second half of this race. It's crunch time. It's when the intensity rises. What are you expecting, and what have been some of the surprises in the first half of this race?
Yeah, I was surprised at the first half of the race, kind of the aggression that we saw early on, and a couple of the bad pushes that we saw, and then it kind of single filed out the way I thought it would with how long this race was. But now you're getting into that crunch time, so I expect the intensity to ramp up, especially when we get to the lap 80 mark and get to that 40 to go. Still gonna have to make one more pit stop. Will we make that under green? Will it be under caution? That's gonna be another key question to this race, but I'm excited to see this thing ramp up here, same as we get closer and closer to the end of the race.
Looking back to the pace car, lights are off. That means we are going this time by to start out lap 68. We have lost 1 driver so far this evening, that being Mark Dumont in the 14. 31 drivers out on track, 31 drivers on the lead lap. And it's going to be 4 drivers deciding to stay out. A big change in swing. we're going to be seeing Halsey, Cobb, Wimmer, and Garber going to lead the way as we enter the restart zone. The Daytona 300 is back underway. What will the different strategies bring us? As already the outside lane looks to be dismantling everyone moving to the inside lane.
Yeah, that did not take long, and it was Halsey that got a great restart. Wimmer followed him in suit, and then the 81 of Cobb jumps down right behind him. But that's going to cause a little bit of a checkup as they caught up to Halsey, because he got such a great jump. Really nobody able to take advantage of it. The 91 further on back of Jennings looking to the outside line, trying to get that formed up. He's going to go up there, but no help. But now here comes the help from the 24 machine of McMahon. He gets to the rear bumper. The 91, that outside line forming up here. Going to have to check up a little bit as that run was a little bit too big to give a shove to the 91.
Right on north 5 of Hunter Simpson. Also is going to have Justin McMahon and Jonathan Jennings. 3 drivers that have been dominating up front. Going to be the only 3 drivers on the outside lane, but showing the strength. When you're able to stay close to one another and utilize the draft, you can fly, as those 3 drivers are moving up quickly, and other teams are trying to figure out, do we move up, get attached to them, or do we continue to stay down low? And it looks like a few are trying to make that outside lane have a few more drivers to work with.
Yeah, a couple of drivers trying to get up there. You see the inside line, a big bump, a big wiggle there, but everybody hangs on and hangs on to it. It was Cobb and Gerber there that got together, almost had a little bit of a moment, but that outside line catch him back up. Now up side by side with the lead's going to be Jennings, the 8 machine, with Christopher Leftwich there, as well as the 47 of Ty Shoeing in that outside line has caught up to these guys, and they're going to blow past that inside line there, Sam. As you can see that little bit of a wiggle down the backstretch really hurt that momentum from those guys.
It really did. Nice moves all around. The fastest lap, give it to Baker Knapp on lap 69, as a little bit of net code showing there as drivers saw an explosion, and it was a that little blinking explosion in the rear end. Though drivers are okay, big scare, but we continue to stay green, as that was just a weird, fluky, kind of a visual explosion that happened. It didn't happen on track. There was no drivers that made contact. So luckily we are able to stay green, and I think that's also a reason why we saw drivers kind of scatter for a second there. They weren't sure if that was a real wreck or it was just a glitch that happened.
One of the great things about iRacing and online racing that you have to deal with is internet connection, and that being one of those things, you'll see drivers periodically blink in and out. You can see cars explode like that just from internet connection going in and out, and it really kind of throws you for a loop as a driver, especially at these speeds and how close they are to one another. But everybody so far still in one piece, and that outside line lost a little bit of momentum as the 8 machine of Leftwich went to the inside. It's only the 47 leading that top line now, with help from the 99 machine of Jonathan Smith, the 41, as well as of Andy Cork, who'd been up front kind of in the inside line now, and the third car on that outside line trying to provide help to those 2 to get them back up to the front.
Trying your best. Starting to see some new faces that have not been up here for the majority of the night, now having their chance to make the climb. Jonathan Smith in the 99 machine trying their best to help out the 47 of Ty Shoeing, who was trying their darndest to keep each other in line. But you could see the big wiggles even through the tri-oval entering turn 1. Drivers are feeling that loose sensation, trying to give space the best that they can. You got to quickly get back in line as you enter the corner of turn 1, and then you're right back to that scare of how is the car going to react off the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, I believe that was the 60 of Donald Leftwich that you saw kind of on the end of the shot there, that had a big moment through the tri-oval, but now catching back up to that inside line. You see the gap there with those guys. But yeah, I mean, how's that car going to react? These pushes are going to get more and more aggressive as these laps wind down, and the last thing you really want to do is push somebody out of the corner, because that's when the car's at its lightest. It's when it unloads out of these corners. It's where you got to be careful. But as these laps get closer and closer to the end, and you've got to make every position that you can, those pushes are going to get stronger and stronger. The movement's going to get more and more less predictable from these guys, and they're going to have their hands full.
And as well, in the middle of this lead pack, we still have the 4 drivers that decided to stay out on track and are going to have to make a pit stop here in the next 8 to 12 laps. That being, going to watch out for the 57 of David Halsey, Jeffrey Wimmer in the 73, Chuck Cobb in the 81, and as well Steve Garber in the 47. Drivers that are going to have to make a pit stop again. They cannot make it from the end of this race from here on out. None of these drivers can, but those 4 drivers are going to have to pit about 27 laps sooner than the rest of the field. That is a huge disadvantage that you have to watch out for, as, again, their window that they're looking for, lap 80 to 85 is when they're expected to hit pit road.
Yeah, they're going to be in the next 8 to 10 laps or so. for those guys, and thankfully for them, all in a line with one another. They're going to be, I believe, from about fifth on back on that inside line. So they're in good positions to make that pit stop with one another, and kind of, the call from them, 4 cars on pit road, a lot easier to get in and out cleanly, not have a lot of traffic to deal with to get separated. So this could work out really well for them. But them being in the middle of the pack, that could cause a little bit of chaos when they eventually have to make that pit stop to the guys around them.
As you are watching on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, the Doghouse Racing League, thank you so much for joining with us here this evening. If you haven't subscribed, might as well do so, as we will be giving you the coverage of Thursday night coverage of the Doghouse Racing Series, their Cup Series, as that season will officially start January 25th. Next week, we're ready for it. We're excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Tonight, kind of a fun race, the Daytona 300. It's Jonathan Jennings who leads the way. Jennings, the driver that won the most recent championship, and hoping to grab another championship heading into 2024. Jennings has the second most starts of 186 starts in total in all the different leagues and cars that have ran in the Doghouse Racing Leagues, and has the most wins of 83 wins. Trevor, the next closest driver, 23 wins. It is shocking when you look at the disparity of the drivers that try to catch up to the 91.
Yeah, it's a pretty good difference there in wins, and just kind of shows you with that open setup. He's found a setup he likes throughout the varying leagues, and he's going to be one driver that these guys are going to have to beat throughout the season if they want to get a championship away from him. And beating him here tonight could be that catalyst that these guys need to maybe steal a championship away from him, Sam.
And the driver that's second with those 23 wins, the driver running in second right now, Justin Man. So drivers know, hey, if you're gonna go for a win, well, see how the winning driver gets it done, as the field still stays side by side. Two distinctive groups currently. We have the lead pack that is our top 23, then going to be all the way, that's just going to be our top 22, all the way back in 23rd position is being led of Kevin Thompson, who is just trying to survive at this moment. But a lot of these drivers that are in this second pack all have saved their fast repair and also been caught up in a lot of wrecks. So I think this group recognizing, okay, some of us might be underpowered, some of us might be dealing with the aero damage. We're going to conserve our fast repair, because I got a feeling we might be seeing a big wreck later on.
Yeah, just fall back here, be safe, be smart. Still, we're almost down to 40 to go, but still a lot of racing to go for these guys here in the back half of the field. So, be conservative, and if you've still got your fast repair in the pocket, hang on to it for as long as you can. And for these guys that don't, you don't want to get any more damage to your car than you already have. And back here at the end of that line, Eric Anderson, Sam, we saw him lead a majority of the first half of this race. Now back here at the back half of this field, playing it safe after having to use his fast repair.
Yeah, and then two drivers that were just caught up in the most recent wreck. You got Gary Clune as well as Kevin Thompson that are just sitting in this second pack, just sitting, waiting, as Baker Knapp, who's been fighting back and forth on putting down the fastest lap of the night between himself and William Gentry, falls down to the back end of this second group. And it's going to be hoping not to lose the draft, but looking a little bit too slow, about that of 5 to 6 miles per hour slower than the group, but luckily he's building up the draft and the speed. The 96, gotta stay attached to the second pack. That was critical, because if you are by yourself, you are going to lap down.
Yeah, it was probably a little bit nerve-wracking there for Baker as he was falling back through the field. Lost touch with the lead pack now, almost lost touch with the back half of the field, and that's kind of one of those things as a driver. When you see that last pack go by you, you're hoping you can grab that tail end of the draft, because it's a lonely feeling going around this racetrack by yourself at speeds that are about 5 to 10 miles an hour slower than what the pack runs.
That speed difference is so massive, especially also if you're giving space and you're building up momentum. You're not used to drivers backing off. You can get yourself in trouble very quickly, as a little bit of jostling in the front pack group as drivers get very close to the outside wall, giving each other plenty of space. As you see those gaps in the back half of the lead pack, just recognizing, okay, they're getting a little bit too racy. Let's give ourselves space just in case we need to react, to go down low or stay to the wall.
Yeah, when you're in that middle of the pack, you see some guys maybe get a little bit sideways, a little bit too aggressive on the pushes. You kind of back off a little bit, give yourself that space to make those moves if need be, but then the runs get back together, you get right back up behind the car in front of you, and you do it all over again. But back here, with Bruce Martin in the 2 and these guys kind of further on back, you can see him check up you have that space to the cars in front of them just to allow themselves some room to make an evasive maneuver if need be.
As they continue trying to work as they can to match this front pack. Again, they're all in a kind of wait and see what happens window. Again, we have 4 drivers that are going to have to hit pit road to watch out for, and some of them are in the top lane. Leading the top lane is Ty Schuning, who's in the 47. Has to figure out how to get down low because they've been out there on track for over 40 laps. Excuse me, that's Chuck Cobb, excuse me, that I was looking at, I miscalled. Also Jeff Wimmer, David Halsey, those are drivers that have to watch out for themselves, and Steve Gerber, that are the drivers that are going to have to hit pit road. They're setting up and trying to get prepared to go into pit road. And this is going to be a tough stop because if any one of those 4 drivers make a mistake, that whole entire group is going to be in trouble once they get back out on track.
Yeah, you 4 cars is probably the the weakest you could have as a group to be at speed and be competitive. You kind of want 5, 6 cars maybe, but they're gonna have a clean pit road to themselves when they make that pit stop. But you can't afford to lose each other, have a speeding penalty because it'll be a detriment to the other guys that have to make that pit stop with you. And then being kind of in that lower line with the stack of cars behind them, they've got to make it clear and get off the racing line so they don't get run over and potentially bring out a caution.
The reason why we point out again on those 4 drivers, those were the 4 drivers deciding not to come into pit road 16 laps ago, and they were in a zone where now I believe if they pit, they should be good on fuel to make it to the end of the race, but the rest of the field, they can still go another 20 to 25 laps before this race is over, before they need to make their final stop, and that big differential of when you need to hit pit road could be critical if you're going to be staying in this lead pack or not. Racing for the win at the end of the day as Jonathan Jennings, Justin McMahon, Hunter Simpson, and Christopher Lethbridge, the 4 top drivers, I would say. Watch at the aggressive moves, the willingness to get up front. Those 4 have proven that they are the ones to watch out for. I'm not surprised to see them be the 4 as driver goes extremely low, and that's going to be Andy Cork, who found himself with a slight blink, didn't feel comfortable, and just gets out of the way immediately. Love the respect by the 41 to just let the field drive on by and try to stay attached.
Yeah, good move by him there with that blink down the back straightaway. That could have been huge. Had he stayed in the pack, could have caused some issues, but falls to the back, caused a little bit of drama throughout the back of the field. A couple guys, I think, going to lose the draft here. It's going to be the 9 of Stephen Bonomo, as well as the 94 of Jamie Horn the 98 of Jamie Horn that are going to lose that lead pack with the 41 machine, having had to check up to let him back on the racetrack. But going to have that second pack behind them that's going to, catch back up to them and give them some draft help. But a little bit of time lost for those 3, but thankfully keeping it out of trouble and keeping us green.
Yeah, keeping it out of trouble and keeping us green going to be a big thing because I think for some of the drivers, they wanted to stay green. For others, they might have been hoping that maybe that yellow flag would have struck, could have saved the thought of having to make a green flag pit stop. See some critical mistakes pop out as the front group going to be our 4 drivers really pulling away. And speaking about pulling away, pulling off to the side, 4 drivers that need to hit pit road. They come in as a collective group as Wimmer, Halsey, Cobb, and as well going to be Gerber hit pit road and about to be entering their stall side by side. A risky call because they've got a hard on the brakes and luckily no contact as they went into pit road.
Yeah, no contact made. Doesn't look like anybody caught speeding there. No black flag. So really good pit entry for these guys now getting the service done. It's going to be pit exit. Can they get grouped up with one another quickly and not lose a lot of time? That's going to be the real question. See 4 tires and fuel going on there for these guys. The 57 pulling off. And these guys looks like they're going to get grouped up pretty quickly here as they're all on top of one another on pit exit.
Quick, efficient, and going to be getting in line. Great job by these 4 drivers. And I think the big thing again, they came in as a collective group, exited as a group, and now it's get up to speed and hopefully to stay in front of the lead pack. Trying to get the lap down that is charging quickly through the entry of turn 1. And you're about to see that lead pack once they hit the backstretch for these 4 drivers. And there's that blob of drivers. That's the lead pack trying to run down these 4.
Yeah, they're going to have to be a little bit careful here. I think that lead pack is going to catch them. The question is, where are they going to fall in line? If they do catch them, are they going to be able to, integrate cleanly into this line? This is where we've seen trouble with super speedway racing with the lead pack catching slower cars, lap cars, and trying to get through that. That's where we've seen issues. But it looks like these guys are up to speed now, caught up with one another. They might be able to stay in front of our leaders here, Sam, as across the start finish line.
It's going to be close. They're going to try their best to stay in front of got to hit some fantastic lap times to stay in this lead position as we're on lap 87 of 120. Still, one more pit stop to go as Eric Anderson puts down the fastest lap so far of 45. That is a screamer of a lap. No one else has really been that close to entering the 45s, but everyone here tonight trying to see what fast times they can put down. As we are closing in with 30 laps to go, we are going to step away. When we come back, we're got one more green flag pit stop for the lead pack, as well as the second group, and see who's going to get themselves into victory lane as Jonathan Jennings leads the way with Justin McMahon, Hunter Simpson, also Ty Shooting, and Daniel Wilkerson. Top 5 are there as you were watching the Doghouse Racing League Daytona 300 here this evening. We will be back right after this commercial break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are under caution conditions. A little bit of issues in the second pack as Baker Knapp gets caught up in his issues as 96 was trying his best to make a big move, but a little bit of a late block. Gonna be caught up with the 96 in the 17 car. You kind of went back and looked at it as they were going into turn number 3 and 4. That's where the madness kind of struck.
Yeah, it was a late block there from Knapp. The 17 of Richard Leclerc had a great run. I think this is it on screen coming into turn number 3. Maybe the lap after this.
Oh, here it is.
Nope, right there. Yeah, you just see the run the 17 got. The 96 with a late move down, trying to cover that off, get a push there. Just didn't work out in time. Both cars up into the wall. You can see the front end on the 17 a little bit loose there. The 96 maybe with some tie rod damage, or towing damage as well. But just a late block there, Sam, in the back half of the field causes another caution.
And that caution, massive collisions all around, but again, massive run by the 17. The 96 comes down a little bit of neck code, but I think there was going to be a wreck either way, and all hard contact, big slide, broken toe lengths, and drivers just trying into pit road. And this caution, a blessing in disguise for the 4 drivers that decided to pit under green and went with the track position call. Well, their luck and favor falls into their graces. David, that of Halsey, as well as Jeff Wimmer, Chuck Cobb, and Steve Garber, going to be your top 4 drivers because they don't need to come into pit road. They already made their stop 6 laps ago. The rest of the field coming into pit road, majority of them fuel only or 2 tires. Not a lot of 4-tire calls for the rest of the field. As here's your race report. That was our 4th caution so far brought out tonight. You know, 4 cautions, 91 laps in. This is not a bad race that these drivers have had. The only unfortunate thing is we're not going to be seeing more green flag pit stops here this evening.
No, haven't got to see. I mean, we saw one green flag pit stop with 4 cars. Didn't get to see the entire field make a green flag pit stop, which is kind of sad because it's really exciting here at Daytona to see that happen. But, 4 cautions, 91 laps in, not a bad race at all. Now, 39, 38 laps to go, Sam, 30, maybe 37 when we get the green flag. The intensity level is going to be through the roof. Don't have to make a pit stop. A lot of these drivers still have a fast repair in their back pocket. This could get really interesting in this last 35 lap showdown.
Yeah, and we kind of brought it up the first 50 laps of the race. This track is big enough to go 3 wide, but the few times that we have seen drivers go 3 wide, we've seen wrecks happen, and we're now in that crunch time with 30 laps to go, where 3 wide racing is expected. Some drivers are gonna have to make some big moves, see an opportunity. There's a hole that opens up. You gotta take the gap and go for every position possible, because making passes here at Daytona late in the race is very difficult, especially when both lanes stay side by side. There's not a lot of movement. You gotta kind of make your own lane and go forward the best that you can, as the pace car light's expected to turn off and give us the 1 to go marker as the field's trying to set up and see which lane they want to be in. It looks like for David Halsey, the leader wants to take the inside row, and that's one of the things that's great about a lot of these leagues. You've got that choice and decision. Where do you want to start on these restarts?
Yeah, as a leader, you get the choice. Do you want the inside? Do you want the outside? Halsey feeling like maybe, hey, that 81 of Cobb gives me a better push than going to the outside line, and so going to elect to use that inside. He got a great jump the last time on the last restart when he was in the lead, so we'll have to see maybe a little bit of teamwork between him and Wimmer there in the 73 could really set them up well here on this restart.
No, we got a couple of people out in the chat hoping to see some drivers have the best finishes they can. Who are you rooting for? If you're out in the chat, you have the ability to message. Who are you rooting for? Who are some of the drivers that you're aiming for, or a team as a whole, and who's a part of that team that you want to see win here tonight? I know we got someone rooting for the 9 machine all the way down is Steven Bonanomo, who's going to be back in 27th, 28th position. That's pretty far back, but still in a position. All these drivers still in position to win here this evening. Any big moves you can make. I mean, some of these drivers that are up front currently all qualifying in 17th or worse. David Halsey, who started tonight's race in 10th place, is up 9 spots. Jeff Wimmer started in 17th. He's up 15 positions. Cobb's up 16, 20 for Gerber. And then other drivers have made some big moves. Jonathan Smith is up 13 spots for 8th. Started in 21st. 20th is where David Wilkerson started. And again, at 78, he's won the last 2 super speedway type races. Can he get 3 in a row as the pace car is about to pull off? And we're about to get back to green flag racing. Less than 30 laps to go here tonight. Some drivers pulling off, trying to get those tires warmed up and ready for green flag racing. Here we go, Trevor. Less than 30 laps to go. And it's the drivers that took the gamble that get to lead us here on this restart.
It is the 4 drivers that made that pit stop. They're all going to get in line really quickly with one another. It's going to be Halsey, Cobb, Wimmer, Gerber, all in line with one another. Great restart from those 4 as they get down, get in front. Second line now going to form. There goes the 91 of Jennings, not wasting any time getting a run to the outside. He's going to have the 24 of McMahon along with him, as well as the 5 of Hunter Simpson. Those 3 have worked really well on the outside line, but here goes the 73 up to block that outside line and get a big shove to the back of the 73 from the 91 as they head off into turn number 3.
Jeff Wimmer, big move, not wanting to let Jonathan Jennings make that outside lane work by his lonesome. Instead, pulls out wide, and now going to be stuck in the sucker hole. A little bit of bobbling back and forth. The 91 doesn't want to be second in line. Instead, the leader on the outer groove, as we're going to be stuck 3 wide. Drivers going down into the apron, not comfortable through the tri-oval, couple of scrapes, even into the wall. It's going to be McMahon. Hunter Simpson holds on. And a big scare from off of 4 into turn 1.
An aggressive move there from Jennings in the 91 to get around the 73 of Wimmer, but it lost him his partner in the 24 and the 5. They both got into the outside wall trying to make that move. The 6 jumps up of Kevin Thompson to the outside line. He's got the 4 of William Gentry as well with him, as now the 91 and the 73 close up the 19 machine, looking to make it 3 wide. He's going to fall back in line. And everybody, Sam, looking, jockeying for these positions early on in this, after this restart, trying to find any little gap that they can.
Drivers that disappeared after being up front for the first 15 laps of this race are back up front. 5th place runner, it's the 7 on the inside row. It's going to be that of Gary Armio, who's going to be trying their best to get back into the mix as well as Trevor. We haven't really talked about it all, but they're stuck 3 wide, and it's Jonathan Jennings who just continues to fall backwards. And I gotta say, Jeffrey Wimmer is not making it kind for the 91, but I think also drivers are falling back to the back of the pack, recognizing, okay, they're getting a little bit too racy, too aggressive. And speaking of aggression, it's Christopher Leftwich who takes the lead. The 8 machine, aggressive moves all around. They're taking every opportunity to be the leader as we're closing in on 100 laps here tonight.
Taking every opportunity you could. Got a great push there from the 12 of Andrew St. Cora, who's been at the back of the pack all race long. We haven't seen him up in the lead pack. Now he's up here battling for the lead with the 8 machine. You got the 8 clear of the lead. Now he's still looking for help from the 6 of Thompson, trying to get the 12 machine up to the front of the field and into the lead. And it's the 00 there, not the 19 car, I think on the screen is the paint scheme we see, but it's the 00 of Nicholas Atwood. That's the 3rd car in that outside line, trying to push and help the 6 and the 12 as they clear that inside line.
Nicholas Atwood, like you said, 19 on screen, 00 on our ticker, who came out of nowhere, qualified in 23rd position, up 20 spots. And that of Andrew St. Cor moved from 28th up to the lead now. Big moves all around, but Nicholas Atwood, haven't talked about the 00 at all here tonight, and now showing off his scheme. And I think it makes sense why we talk about him. Different scheme from his number, but still showing out with some great runs. The 2 of Bruce Martin also, we haven't talked about a lot, is that 2 machine, but he's been kind of under the radar, but up front all night long.
Yeah, 2 machine of Martin, he's kind of been in the back half of the lead pack, now finding himself in the top line, the 4th car in that top line. And again, that inside line losing a lot of momentum down the back straightaway. The 4 also going to be able to clear the top 5 on that outside line, able to clear the 4 of Gentry with a huge run. He's going to look to the inside of the 2 of Martin through 3 and 4 as they're side drafting each other, coming off of 4, almost a little bit of contact made.
There was contact. That's Jeffrey Wimmer getting right on the side quarter panel of Leftwich. Christopher Leftwich able to hold steady. I thought we were going to see another wreck pop up. Instead, we stay green, and it's St. Cor leading that outside lane. When will we see some of those drivers that backed away, giving each other some space, move forward? I think the driver got my mind. It's got to be Hunter Simpson. Outside lane is the 5. He's making his run forward, and for everyone else that we had talked about from the majority of the night, Jonathan Jennings, he's up to 6. They're starting to rebound and move forward. Are those drivers that backed away, cooled off about 5 laps ago?
Yeah, starting to work their way forward and being led by that 90, like you said, the 91 of Jennings. He fell all the way back to about 10th or 11th position after getting stuck behind the 73, or I'm sorry, getting stuck behind the 4 of Bruce Gentry, who now followed the 73 of Jeff Limmer all the way back up to that 2nd position on the inside line. Those 2 had a huge run through the trial for the last lap. Now find themselves battling up here for 1st and 2nd place on that inside line with help from the 4 machine, the 12 trying to get help from the 6th. Everybody just giving these massive pushes to one another on corner exit, trying to get any bit of momentum and space that they can and try to keep their line in front.
Big pushes all around. I know in chat we got someone to root for that 9 machine. Steven Bonanomo going to be back in 23rd position, a part of the 2nd pack. They have given a lot of space. There's 3 distinct groups that are out there on track, but this lead group, they're closing in on lap traffic. That's going to be Baker Knapp, who is all on his lonesome. Excuse me, actually, that's the 47 of Ty Schoening, who's going to be that lap car that the lead group is catching up to. Talked about it. Lap cars can be very catastrophic to packs when you catch up to them if you're not being organized, not communicating. There's been 0 communication, Trevor, of where they want this lap car to be, and this could be very scary for this lead group if they don't communicate even clear and the 47 stays on track.
Yeah, he's going to stay above the yellow line, actually going to drop below the double yellow line here on the back straightaway. Good move there from Ty, recognizing, hey, the leaders are coming. I don't want to be a part of maybe causing a big wreck. Going to drop to the apron there and get back on the racetrack. Got plenty of gap between the lead pack and the 2nd pack, so a smart move there from the lap car, but it could have been a little bit of a hold your breath moment for these leaders had he decided to stay up on the racing line.
Absolutely. One driver, that one moment, the first 20 laps of this race, leading up front, now just in survival mode. It's the 43 of going to be Eric Anderson, having the likes of Kevin Brown, as well as seeing Donald Leftwich, Michael Skimia, as well. Drivers that are just in wait mode. I think they're hoping that there's going to be a wreck with 20 laps to go. And the way that we've seen that front group racing, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 2, maybe 3 more wrecks with the aggression that's still there, and the fact that our top 3, 4 drivers also have their fast repair, meaning they have that safety net. If they make a mistake, they're still in the race.
Yeah, they still got that safety net. They can make that mistake, and with the how hard they've been pushing one another and all the movement we've seen, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see at least 1, maybe 2 more big wrecks. And for those guys that are at the back, that's exactly what they're waiting for to happen, is more movement up front. The 2 machine of Martin going to drive down to the inside line in front of the 73. He's going to try to get a shove to see if he can get up and get the lead for the first time here tonight, as he's been hanging out in the middle of the pack now, looking for the lead off of 2.
2 of Bruce Martin has been just waiting for his chance to shine, and now leading the inside group. He's got one of the more aggressive drivers since the most recent restart. That's the 73 of Jeff Wimmer. Wimmer has been willing to put the nose where it needs to go to either block, make a pass, and right now working with the 2 machine, but it might be a losing battle because they've got the 6 of Kevin Thompson as well as the 12 of St. Court making the outside lane work to perfection, and they are moving away, pulling away as quickly as they can, and keeping that momentum as the outside group.
Yeah, they've been able to pull away and really haven't been on top of one another, giving each other a shove. It's been the 73 trying to push, of Wimmer trying to push the 2 machine, and those 2 lost a little bit of time down the front straightaway. Now out of turn number 2, going to see if they can get a good run, but even with them being tucked up with one another, not gaining a lot of ground on our leaders down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of time picked up, something you don't really see. I know it's 18 laps to go in this race. Some drivers changing up their schemes. They don't see a dodge very often, but that's what the 2 is working. Bruce Miller trying to get the Miller time moving, as Bruce Martin, getting the Miller time moving currently, and it's working at this time, side by side, as we are clocking the laps, continuing to tick down. 17 laps to go here tonight. It's been a long one, 104 laps in the books. And Trevor, it's go time for this group. Still a total of 18 drivers with a chance to win here tonight if we stay green.
Yeah, 18 drivers in this lead pack. I mean, if you're on the lead lap, you've got a chance to win this thing. We've seen big wrecks at the end of this race take out an entire lead group, and guys in the back half of the field win a race. So, I mean, I think if you're on the lead lap, you've got a chance to win this. Anything's possible at these restrictor plate races, but that inside line lost a lot of momentum there. You see a lot of movement out of turn number 4, that inside line falling all the way back to what's going to be that of about 7th to 8th position as that top line pulls away going into turn number 1.
That top lane is showing that dominance we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast. We knew the top lane is where you wanted to be at the end of the day, and it looks like everyone that's recognized that has placed themselves perfectly to be aggressive, push forward. The only way you're going to stop this outside groove is when we start to see everyone kind of dissipate. They all move to the inside lane. We might see some big blocks that have really hurt drivers. It's been the late blocks that have really caused a lot of the almost all the wrecks here tonight have been those late block moves of a driver not liking the momentum that they're seeing from the inside or the outside. They move the car up or move the car down, and they can cause the big one. And I feel like as we're coming up to 15 laps to go, whoever gets the next big run, watch out for the driver that tries to move down and stop that momentum.
Yeah, it was Jason Palmer that took the first big move. Now you see cars starting to scatter out. The 99 going to be 3 wide with the 1 and the 24 machine. That's going to be Jonathan Smith there that gets shoved out into the middle of the in front of them. The 78 of Wilkerson drops down to the bottom with the 5 of Hunter Simpson. That outside line starting to lose a bit of momentum. Here comes the 2 back up to the top to try to help out. But the 78, the 5 elected to drop down to the bottom, take their run. And it's going to hurt them a little bit here as they head off into 3s. They're going to lose a little bit of time to that lead group, the 00 being that 3rd car in line, but they're going to try to get it back here halfway through turn number 3.
They're trying to get it back as quickly as they can, and Hunter Simpson being the lead driver. He's kind of been the 3rd in line most of the night, trying to help Jennings, trying to help McMahon, but now being the lead driver of the inside groove. They're coming up to another slow driver. That's going to be the 33 of Kevin Brown. 14 laps to go, and the 12 of St. Court continues to run strong on the outside lane and getting some fantastic pushes from Kevin Thompson in the 6th machine. And the big thing also, we touched on it in the middle of the broadcast, in the middle of this race, those temperatures on the engines, you got to be careful if you're giving too big of bumps to make sure you still have life in that engine to work on here later on tonight. The weather conditions for this final push, it has cooled off dramatically. 10 degrees have cooled off. The sun starting to fade away in the clouds, and the wind has stayed the same. But Trevor, the action on track is heating up.
Yeah, the track might have cooled down, but the action on it's heating up. As you can see, the big runs, the big bumps coming. And with that cooler temperature, gives these guys a little bit more time that they can push. Here comes a big run from the 24, but
oh no, caution is out, and it's the 81. Check that of Chuck Cobb, spun around and stopped in the middle of the track with oncoming traffic. A couple of the drivers almost ran into the 81 machine as they were getting collected. A few drivers just bottled up with one another, and ultimately it was going to be the 81 and the 41 who get caught up in a big mess. As we take a look at this replay, I think the big scare, all the drivers were caught up in this wreck. Luckily, it wasn't a big enough wreck to really collect a lot of drivers. A lot of scraping. Might be able to use a fast repair if you still have one. But Trevor, it's the aftermath, the one that 81 locked the brakes, where things really got spooky.
Yeah, you see a couple cars getting to the wall there, and it looks like the 81 just comes down across the nose of the 41, locks the brakes coming back onto the racetrack, and this is where the second pack comes into play. I mean, he's parked all the way across the racetrack, and you see everybody's kind of scattering to get by, but it's always terrifying as a driver.
But here comes the third. Whoa!
That's the scary part as a driver. When you're in that second pack and you come up on a car like that, a sudden movement from the guys in front of you, I mean, we've already seen the visibility not being a whole lot. And so that sudden movements can be really terrifying if there's a car in the middle of the track, but thankfully Sam had everybody able to get through that unscathed.
Forward from Cobb, just going through right as all Reigns gets caught up. Rex gets in the 41, slides back up into the field. It's one of those drivers, I think if we can get on to Leclerc in the 17, he's currently 24th on track, but he got a major spook just running and then sees a car dashing down. And as well, the 94, our pole sitter, Tyler Millette, had a big scare as well, not expecting to see a driver move at that moment. But, hey, it was a scare. It was a brown pants moment. But they keep it together, and we get ready for this restart, and it's going to be a 10-lap-to-go window when we get back to green flag racing. Some drivers decide to pull it into pit road to get service done. Who will decide to stay out? It looks like everyone wanting to keep that track position. Tires, not too important. Or at least the first 12 drivers.
No, not gonna be too important. You might see some guys further on back in the pack, maybe get a little bit of damage that they might still have fixed. Fill it up just in case there is. We do have 2 green and white checkers, so fill it up just in case. Make sure you have enough fuel for those. 4 fresh tires, because what's it gonna hurt? And I think we're gonna be back to that of 30 cars, 29 cars on the lead lap. I don't think you're gonna see a second pack here after this restart. So you're gonna have everybody on top of one another. And this is where it's going to get a lot of really fun for us here up in the booth, Sam.
Oh, it's going to be a blast to watch as Ty Shonin going to get a lap back as the 47, ripping the top to get by everyone. Going to leave us with 29 drivers on the lead lap as a few drivers getting that damage repair. But man, 10 laps to go. It's looking to be now 9 laps to go when we get back to green flag racing. But this has been a blast and a pleasure to cover this action of the Doghouse Racing League's Daytona 300, 110 laps in the book. But Daytona International Speedway has been certainly what we kind of expected, I would say, in the outside lane, showing its dominance here late. I think it was kind of cool seeing the fact that they were using both lanes throughout this race, so not keeping it just a one groove, stuck to what we know. Run for majority of this race, but now I think this is when it gets down to crunch time of who's your friend, who's your ally, and who is willing to say, hey, I'm sticking with you to the end of this race.
Yeah, can you find that person to stick with you all the way to the checkered flag, or is it going to be, hey, I'm going to stick with you until we're halfway down the back straightaway, and then I'm going to make a move for myself? That's going to be the question. Do you have that go-to teammate that'll stay with you all the way to the end, or is it going to be every man for himself once we get the white flag? That's going to be the fun part to find out. Will we see the 3 wide? We've seen, a car or 2 cars try it. We've seen guys get shuffled. Will we see an actual third line form at some point during this last, 9 laps or so? That's going to be the other question. And still, cars with fast repairs in the back pocket. Will we see another big wreck before this race is over?
So many chances to make mistakes, and tonight we've seen a couple. And overall, majority of the drivers have used their fast repair. There's only about 10 that have yet to use their fast repair. One of those being our leader, St. Core. A couple of other drivers mixed in between Justin McMahon as well as Nicholas Atwood. But the rest of the field, really, you look through, they've been caught up in one or two messes throughout here tonight. Some drivers have been waiting until this very last moment to use their fast repair, and now it's go time. Going to be 9 laps to go when we go green. Thank you again for joining with us. We are going to be finding ourselves giving you the coverage of the Doghouse Racing League's Next Gen Cup Series, presented by Shoney's on Thursday night. So if you want to see more of the Doghouse Racing Series, running the same cars, but going to be in the open setups Thursday night. Going to be right here on Freaky Fast Broadcast. And if you haven't subscribed, might as well do it already. And if you haven't shared, this is one of the last times to do it. It's about to become the most chaotic point of the whole entire race. Who is winning the Daytona 300? Might as well share it out now. Get all the eyes to see who is going to be winning the first race of 2024 in the Doghouse Racing League. Will it be St. Core? Will it be Thompson? Could it be someone else who's been dominating here tonight? Or an absolute unknown who's been just sneaking in the back? We're about to find out here very shortly. Thank you again for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me on Tuesday nights is Trevor Earhart. Going to be joining me on Thursday nights is going to be Zach Hall. And always running productions in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. Pace car about to make the move on to pit road. And it's about to be go time. We get another update on where the 9 is. They're up 17th where Steven Bonanomo is. And with that 9 wins, I know the chat's going to be exploded. It should be a good one. Restart is on as we are green here tonight. 9 laps to go. We got 2 green-white checkers if needed. And already moves to the inside lane is underway.
Moves to the inside, moves to the outside of St. Core, Thompson, Atwood, all to the outside line. Here comes the 24 of McMahon, though. He's not going to waste any time getting to the bottom line. He's got help from the 5 of Sampson, also trying to come to the inside. Here comes the 99 of Jonathan Smith. There's those 3 form the inside line. Atwood going to have help from the 2 of Bruce Martin on that outside line, and that outside line is starting to pull away a little bit as that inside line had the momentum halfway down the back straightaway, but as that outside line's gotten formed up, here they go with the breakaway heading into turn number 3.
4 drivers in line, and they will pull away as the outer groove. We did have 1 driver have an issue entering turn 1. That was a 7 of Gary Armio, who is going to be finding themselves by themselves off the exit of turn 2, while the front pack 3 wide in the back. But we're seeing drivers and schemes that we haven't seen all race long making the march, but they've got to figure out how to get by this 12, the 6, the 9, has big dive from that of Daniel Wilkerson. Wilkerson wants to continue winning the 2 into the wall, and it's going to be checking up the rest of the field, and they're wrecking after the checkup. Another big one strikes as more drivers pile in.
There it goes. All it takes. One little mistake. You saw the 2 get into the outside wall, and with the laps winding down, as more cars get caught up into this as they scatter across the back straightaway. That's all it takes, though, Sam. That little bit of a mistake getting into the wall, causing a checkup. These guys just not giving space as there's not many laps left. And another big one strikes here tonight.
Very odd aftermath wreck of drivers trying to hold on. As we're going to have to take a couple of different looks at this, but it all started with the 2 brushing into the outside wall, and it just accordioned everyone back. Everyone trying to make a brace of moves with a small tap to the 4 to the 91, and everyone else gets attached and wrecks along. And that's the first cluster of drivers that got up in a mess. And then there's another one with Jamie Horn, as well as getting into the 60 machine of, I believe that was Donald Leftwich, who was caught up in a big collision. And Trevor, we knew it was going to happen, and we got another restart inside of regulation. But again, we're going to take a couple of looks at this wreck because that was another massive collision for these drivers.
Yeah, kind of 2 separate incidents there. You have the one with the 4 machine, and you have one a little bit after that. I think of guys just trying to scatter out and give themselves some space. You see right there, the 4 gets hooked into the 8 of Christopher Leftwich. I believe that's the 98 that's sliding up. That's going to come down and collect the 60 of Donald Leftwich. You can see a little bit of netcode collects the 60, but I think contact was going to be made there that sends the 60 into a slide. I believe that's the 48?
45 that gets collected there.
It's caught up in that, and just the aftermath of the first wreck, car drivers trying to save it causes a little bit of a secondary incident there, and we get to rack them back up and try it all over again here, Sam.
We certainly do. And for those Bonomo fans, the 9 moves up to 11th. He's been slowly moving forward. And Trevor, I'm kind of excited because this is the first time I've called a driver of excitement, and they are not getting hit with bad luck currently, and I just probably jinxed it. But it's been exciting to watch a driver survive at least 2 wrecks that I've called them on where they're at and hoping that they move forward.
Hopefully third time's lucky for him. But, you know, the curse of the commentator, at least for us, is real. We will be talking great about a driver, and then the next thing we know, they're upside down somewhere. So hopefully that doesn't happen to Steve, and hopefully the 9 can get himself a good finish, because I know the fans out there want to see it. But so far so good for him, Sam, as he's slowly working his way up through the field up to 11th, and within a good shot to potentially go out there and win this.
Yeah, and he's around drivers that want to move forward. I think the 9 is in a great position. If he can get himself attached with Jonathan Jennings or with Jeffrey Wimmer, moving forward, it can happen, and being in a shot to go for the win is possible. But they've got some mad fast cats that are up front. That of Andrew St. Cyr has been the dominant lead driver, and it's all thanks to Kevin Thompson. That 6 machine and the 12 have been attached, and they are not letting go to one another, even under pacing. I've got a feeling if you're going to beat those drivers, you either got to make sure that Thompson just makes a move and goes for the pass by himself, or you hope that maybe there's a bad bump that happens at some point.
Yeah, I think you either got to hope for one of those two things, or if you're on that inside line, you've got to get up to beside the 6 car and try to side draft him off the rear end of that 12 machine of St. Cyr and get those two separated and give yourself a chance to get up in front of them. So that's going to be another thing to watch out for, the aggressive side draft from that inside line. That might be what it takes to pull those two apart and give yourself a shot if you're on that inside line to potentially win this race.
Where can you place yourself? Are you going to be in a position to make any big moves? And, you know, I'm looking through. We got only one driver. We have the ability to move and talk to them. Let's see if we can queue up 8th place, the 2 machine, Bruce Martin, and see how Bruce is feeling. Because I'm curious on if they feel like they've got a chance to go for a win in that 8th place after being caught up into the wall. Let's see if we can queue up that 2 machine. Bruce Martin, it's Sam and Trevor up the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you. How you doing today?
Oh, we're doing great. We saw you get into the wall under that last incident, able to still stay up front. What's the confidence level getting ready for this restart?
I feel pretty good on this restart. I've kind of held back on this race. I got caught up in that first wreck, so I didn't have a fast repair. So I just been kind of hanging back and just biding my time, and now it's go time, and I just got up into the wall, get a little too close to it, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Well, Bruce, I mean, is there anybody out there that you got in mind to work with you to help you get in front of that 12 and 6 machine?
Not off the top of my head. I'm kind of on my own out here. I'm kind of working the best I can, and I got hopefully some friends that like me to run with, but nobody I can think of personally.
Well, Bruce, we're hoping for the best for you on this restart. Good luck, and hopefully we'll be talking to you at the end of the night.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, that's going to be the 2 machine of Bruce Martin trying his best. Going to be starting in 8th place on the outside. He's got the 99 of Jonathan Smith right below him as we get ready for this restart. It's going to be a crazy one. 4 laps to go when we go green. Trevor, this is it. This is, if we get another wreck, we head into overtime. We got only 2 attempts. Do you think we're heading into overtime, or can we hold on?
I don't know. It's tough. I think we're going to use overtime, but you never know. We could see this thing run green to the last lap, and we could see a massive crash on the white flag lap. Who knows? But I know it's going to be exciting nonetheless. Sam, we get ready for this restart as the pace car is getting ready to pull off.
Getting ready to pull off. It's been Andrew St. Cyr. It's been Kevin Thompson. They've been ripping the top, working as well with the 00 of Nicholas Atwood. When will friends become enemies? It's time to find out. With 4 laps to go, will we send it into overtime, or will we stay green to figure out who's winning the Daytona 300? I gotta say, Doghouse Racing League has given us a great showing. It makes us excited for Thursday night. Hopefully you're ready as well, as we're back to green flag racing, and it's gonna be St. Cyr as well as Thompson. They figure out how to get in line. The outside groove is set up, and here we go, Trevor, down into turn number 1.
Yeah, those top 4 and that outside line getting set up with one another again. It's going to be St. Cyr, Thompson, Atwood, Simpson, all in line with one another. You're going to have that inside line of Wilkerson, McMahon as well. Here comes the 99 trying to get a shove to the 24 to get those guys up there to the front. But that top 4 on that outside again, showing their dominance. And the question is going to be who's going to leave who to potentially set themselves up for a win as they head into turn number 3.
If you just allow the top 3 to be those top 3 drivers and you move back down, you might have a chance to take the lead position. And Hunter Simpson's in that great spot. He's waiting for some momentum. It might be Jason Palmer. Drivers are trying to find how to drop down low, time the run as we're coming up to 3 laps to go. Simpson a little bit not skewed close enough, lined up for that launch down into turn number 1. They finally get in line, but it's going to be the one of Jason Palmer that drops down low first. Who else could be joining that group as we're seeing both lines building up their momentum off the exit of turn 2?
Trying to get that momentum built up, added to. It's going to be Palmer leading that inside line. Here comes a big run from Wimmer in the 73. He's going to get right to the rear bumper of the 2. He's going to drop low. Here comes the 91 of Jennings as well. He's going to stay to the outside line. Big move behind
drivers
him.
lost. It's Chuck Cobbs. He gets sent into the grass. We stay green with 3 laps to go, but you hate to see that for the 83 machine who's trying to move forward. Yellow flag is thrown, and it's a big wreck in the middle of the field. And caught up in. It's going to be the 9 machine. Momo as well as plenty of others. This one is the biggest wreck of the night.
This is going to send us into overtime, and it started with the 91 of Jennings, who I think they were 3 wide into 3 and 4 and got it up into the wall just a little bit, got that 91 machine upset, turned across the field, and the big one strikes here, Sam. That's going to take a lot of cars who've already used a fast repair. That's going to hurt them, and guys who haven't going to have to use that fast repair.
As the drivers were setting up for an aggressive push on the outside lane, this wreck will send us into overtime. We got 2 attempts if needed, but here is the run down into turn number 3. Watch out for the Cat 91. Gonna bounce low, moves up high. Gonna be 3 wide and just a little bit of a pinch coming down into that of this, I believe that was a 73. And I mean, Trevor, from there, no one else had space to go as the whole entire field just gets clogged up.
Yeah, just nowhere to go for everybody behind him. You see them all piling in there. The 91, the 43, the 41, the 9 as well, the 78. Just cars just nowhere to go at those speeds when you're that close together. You see the 60 there of Donald Leftwich involved for, I believe, what's going to be his 3rd incident of the night for that 60 machine. And just everybody scattering as the cars come back down the racetrack and guys just trying to find any way to get through that.
See the 45 just drifting backwards, just trying to find space to whip it back around. And oh my goodness, that is a very unfortunate scenario. Drivers pinching into one another. That is a very odd timing. You don't expect that to happen, but then you see other drivers trying to scatter around the best that they can and taking the tow instead of just staying there was the 45. And the big reasoning why the 45 kept on drifting back, well, Gary Clune already had used their fast repair. Their race, most likely done, was sitting in pit road 2 laps down, and yet to be able to work on that required damage. But the rest of the field, we will be down to a total of 25 drivers on the lead lap. Due to the fact that a lot of those drivers were caught up in that mess, going to be finding another driver calling it a night. That's going to be the 7 machine of Gary Armio going to be caught up in that incident and decided to just call it a night. So 2 official DNFs, going to be a 3rd with Clune also calling it a night, and only going to be seeing 22 drivers on the lead lap. I mean, Trevor, it's still wide open. Excuse me, 25 now drivers on the lead lap, still wide open. But this is going to be our first attempt of 3 if needed.
Yeah, it's wide open for anybody that's still got, all the RPMs. Don't necessarily have to have the body straight, but if you still got full power in that thing, anything's possible. It's I mean, we've already seen them on top of one another. It's going to just get even more compact as we're going to have a 3-lap shootout once this thing goes back green. And I mean, if you're one of those guys up front, if you're Thompson, Atwood, Simpson, I mean, do you just ride and push the 12, or are you going to make a move at some point? That's going to be the real question for these guys, as they've looked unstoppable when they're in line with one another.
I don't think you make a move until you get to turn 3. I mean, maybe even the exit of 4. If you have a chance to get to the outside or you get a big run, set up for a chance to make a move, because if you get a big run, you can make a pass off the exit of turn 4 to the start-finish line. There's enough time to make that charge. I know chat's blown up. They are confused why they're seeing the 9th up in 8th place. Well, some of these drivers had already used their fast repair. They are stuck with the damage they have. Instead of coming in pit road and getting that damage repair and maybe losing the track position that you can't gain back, why not stay out? And there are about 4 or 5 drivers with some heavy damage, including the 9, that are deciding, okay, we got enough RPMs, the cosmetic damage might be bad, Let's just see if we can stay up front and steal the win if possible.
Yeah, hey, if you got the RPMs and you can stay in the draft, if there's another big wreck from the leaders going into the corner and you can get through it, you might find yourself winning. How many times have we seen, Sam, at these super speedway races, guys from 15th on back outside the top 10 win these races because of incidents that happen up front on the last lap?
Anything can happen, and there's plenty of chances to make some big moves. I mean, if you watch here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on Wednesday night, we had a massive wreck as the drivers were testing out Kern County Raceway and the WSSR Cup Series, and they had a massive wreck where drivers from around 20th were able to finish inside of the top 10, almost into 5th place because of how big those wrecks were. And here at a super speedway where there's a wreck looming, any position can give you a chance to win or get caught up in the big one. As the field is set up, they're prepared. This is going to be our first of potentially 2 green-white checkers. So the way that this breaks down, we are going to have 2 laps to go when we go green. If we hit the white flag, if we complete a full lap without a yellow flag coming out, the race will be official, and it's all about who crosses the line first if we get that scenario. But if we get a yellow flag before the white flag, we will head into overtime, attempt number 2. The rules are a little bit different on attempt number 2, so we're hoping this is the last restart of the night. So if you haven't shared it, might as well share the broadcast. Get as many eyes out here. Who's going to win the first race of 2024 for the Doghouse Racing League, the Daytona 300? About to conclude here tonight. Thank you for joining with us. We're excited for it. Here we go, Trevor. Pace car pulls into pit road. We enter the restart zone. It's Andrew St. Cyr, Kevin Thompson. They get up to speed as it is go time for our leaders. Down into turn number 1. Attempt number 1 is underway, and already some shimmying and movings happening up front.
Yeah, St. Cyr not wasting any time getting up there in front of the 6 machine like he has all night. The 5 of Simpson as well going to be there. Here they go back down to the bottom. The 00 of Atwood, the kind of lone car out on that inside line. He got left to his own devices, but now...
Oh, and they're wrecking. Drivers are wrecking. It's everyone that was heavily damaged. Yellow flag comes out. We're going to attempt number 2. And it was the 9 caught up in the mess, as well as plenty of other drivers that were heavily damaged, underpowered on speed. And just everyone gets wadded up coming to the exit of turn 2, and that looks to be the call the night. The 9 machine is done. Sadly, you hate to see that for Steve, but he just did not have the power, nor did about 3 other drivers. They were so underpowered, they were clogging up. Everyone else was trying to go, and there was the first couple of contacts, but they were running about 10 miles per hour slower than everyone else at full engine power. And off the exit of turn 2, everyone's just trying to make some moves. The 4 gets impatient, gives a tap, and sends the 9 for a ride.
Yeah, just not much you can do there when you're under power like that. And unfortunately, a couple more cars caught up in that. You see the hard contact with the 4 as he loses the front end, the 9 as well. Going to call it a night for himself. And one more attempt at this, Sam. The second attempt here of 2 with the green and white checkered. And up front, it looked like it was going to get pretty interesting with those guys and the movement they were making. But if we get a caution before we get the white flag, this race could be over before we, potentially could see how this plays out.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of chances to, make moves. But this is the last attempt. This is the last restart of the night. These drivers are in a spot where you got to make moves, and they were trying to make them on that restart. This go around, they are not. And it's time, I think, Trevor, to kind of make your decisions. If you're going to be Kevin Thompson here, you can continue to work with St. Cyr, but with this restart and being the last one of the night, we can finish this race under yellow. If we are not able to get to the white flag and we get a yellow flag before then, this race will be called, and that is going to be one of those things where drivers, they are going to be putting even bigger moves if possible to get up front.
Yeah, you can't really work with your partner there knowing that this could be potentially, hey, if we don't make it at turn number 2, this race can be over. So we might see some different moves up front. Those two have worked really well together on these restarts. This could be the end of that with this coming up, knowing that it could be the potential, it could be just a dash to turn 1 to see who wins this thing. So this is going to get really interesting here as these guys pace around for one more time before we get before we get them lined up for the final restart.
Some of the biggest movers of drivers going to be the 77 of Andrew Lucas. Started this race all the way back in 30th position, up 26 spots. Another driver that's up big moves going to be Baker Knapp. Baker Knapp, as well as a few other drivers, have been going back and forth. I'm putting the fastest lap down of the race, the 96. Going to be up to 7th place. A driver that qualified in last has been caught up in a couple of wrecks, still in the fight inside of the top 10. The 77 of Andrew Lucas, a driver that's been trying to keep their nose out of trouble, and inside the top 5. Those are positions where you can make some big moves and still a chance to go for the win here tonight. As wait for the lights to click off and give us the 1 to go indicator. But hey, if you're just joining us for the first time on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining with us. We are the new broadcast team that's going to be giving you the Doghouse Racing League Cup Series action on Thursday nights. First race officially is going to be the Clash, where the drivers are heading to Nashville Fairgrounds next week on Thursday, January 25th. Then the duels set up who will be starting in what position February 1st. Going to be Duel 1 and Duel 2, both going to be covered here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting to see where you're going to be starting for the first race of 2024's Season 1 for this group, as they are so excited for the Next Gen Cup Series. Thursday night racing action, partnering up with Shoney's once again, and Group 6 going to be the major sponsors for this season. But it's going to be February 8th. Going to be the start of a brand new season. 200 miles, 80 laps for the Group 6 200 Daytona. I know that you're going to be watching, Trevor, but tonight giving a pretty decent preview. I know this is a fixed setup compared to when we have the race. It's going to be an open setup, but a good preview of what drivers to really watch out for that are strong super speedway drivers.
Yeah, really good preview of what to look for, when that race comes around. I think the 2 that you're really going to have to watch out for is going to be that 12 of St. Cor and the 6 of Thompson, as well as the 5 of Hunter Simpson. Those 3 have shown, especially Simpson. He's been up front all night long for Cor and Thompson. They've gotten up to the front here at the end of this race, and I think those 3 are going to be ones that you're going to have to watch out for in a couple of weeks when we get here for the season opener.
Yeah, I mean, they could be strong drivers to watch out for. Also, earlier in the race, you saw Eric Anderson be one of the top drivers to watch out for. Justin McMahon, we know the most Wayne-ish driver of Jonathan Jennings, are quick drivers to watch out for. And the team factor, who's willing to work with who, it's going to be a good one. As you got Andrew St. Cor, your lead driver, Kevin Thompson, Hunter Smith, Nicholas Atwood, and Andrew Lucas, your top 5, with Bruce Martin, who we talked to under that last pace, a couple of last cautions ago. That too still feels like they've got a fighting chance to get up there with Baker Knapp, of also David Halsey, Steven Gerber, Donald Leftwich, who we haven't talked about the 60 at all a lot, was caught up in a lot of messes, somehow still in our top 10 for the 60 machine. And that's going to be your top 10 runners still coming into this restart. Last one of the night. Who's winning the Daytona 300? We have a total of 23 drivers that are on the lead lap. 23 drivers still with the chance to win here this evening. And it's going to be the start of 2024, a brand new year. Could someone find themselves in a victory lane for the first time, or could someone carry the momentum for a brand new season? Into the restart zone, the Daytona 300. The last restart of the night is underway in St. Cor. Kevin Thompson, they're in line. Driver's already in the outside wall. We stay green as everyone scatters by the 60 of Leftwich. And Trevor, we stay green for now, but they roar down into turn number 1.
Stay green for now. But there goes 19, turned by the 5, and that's going to be the race over.
Caution is out, and it's Andrew St. Cor who leads the way. It is pandemonium off the exit of turn 2, but it's the 12, the 6, and Baker Knapp up to 3rd. It's going to be your top 3 after this one. Oh my goodness, we thought maybe we had a chance to get to the end, but instead, Un's under yellow, and it's going to be Andrew St. Cor who gets the win for the 12 machine. As you see the rest of the field scattered, stopped, and it was the 00 of Nicholas Atwood on our ticker, 19 on screen, that finds himself trying to make a big move, and it didn't work out there.
Yeah, Atwood, I think, tried to maybe pinch the 5 machine of Simpson just a little bit on through the middle of turn number 1. They got those 2 hooked together, caused that caution, but I mean, that's you got to be aggressive there at the end of the race. I mean, we get a replay of it. Final restart, you got to do everything you can, and right here, just got to the rear bumper of the 6, got him unsettled, got him down into the 5, and that's what brings out the final caution of the night.
everyone scattering, keeping the foot in the throttle because you have to go. Some drivers stuck and flipping around Atwood, having the wildest of rides. And we'll come back and take another look at it in a few moments as cars have caught up to the pace car. And it's going to be Andrew St. Cyr, Kevin Thompson, Hunter Simpson, and Baker Knapp going to be your top four. Hunter's going to be able to keep his position, but you can tell Kevin Thompson, Cyr, they're happy to get that 1-2 finish after working so well with one another in those final 30 laps. An incredible run for the both of them, and man, what a preview to show off the Doghouse Racing League. This Next Gen Cup car is going to be a fun one to watch. We're happy to be a part of this journey as St. Cyr, under pacing, gets to enjoy crossing the start finish line, doesn't have to worry about the cars behind him. He has conquered, he stayed up front, the caution's laid perfectly, and it's going to be the 12, Andrew St. Cyr, getting the win of the Daytona 300, starting off with a great momentum into 2024. The new season begins that of February 8th. There's a couple of other preview races before then, but man, what a run for the 12 machine. We hope to talk to our top three of Andrew St. Cyr, Kevin Thompson, and Hunter Smith once we come back from our post-race show. But man, what a wreck that we had there late, Trevor. What a run. But it was the two dominant drivers there late that set themselves up perfectly to keep those 1-2 positions.
I mean, they did everything right. Every restart, those two got hooked up together, were able to stay out front, stay in front of the carnage, and just late race, you know, trying to make big moves causes a caution there going into turn number one that ends us tonight before we get the full green white checker. But what a race we had all night long, Sam. Great moves from everybody, and St. Cyr going to come away with the opening win of this season. It might be just, you know, a fun race, a charity race for these guys, but I mean, that surely sets them up with good momentum going into the season opener in a couple weeks.
Yeah, the goal of this race was just to get a fundraising to help out the league, to allow prizes for the league throughout the year for all the drivers that show up, and they certainly did show out to give us at least the entertainment that we're expecting to see throughout this season. Congratulations to Andrew, as well as Kevin Smith and Hunter Simpson, as the 12 gets to enjoy trying to burn it down. He sits here and waits. We will be stepping away. When we come back, we'll be talking to our drivers and gain a sense of what it's like to get the win here this evening. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the post-race show of the Daytona 300. We send ourselves to Victory Lane to talk to Andrew St. Cyr and see what our winner here this evening is feeling. Andrew, congratulations on the win. A little bit less dramatic than having to cross the line under green flag conditions. But man, how are you feeling coming away with the win here tonight?
Obviously pretty excited. That was a heck of a run, start to finish. I mean, we strategically ran around at the back for a while, obviously, and you would have seen that. And but when we decided to go, we went and had great support from my teammates. It was, if anything, it's a great way to kind of start the season. I know this isn't officially our league, but it's a great momentum builder to start the Clash here in a couple weeks. So really excited for the start of the season.
I mean, Andrew, you and Kevin there at the end, those last 40 laps worked so well together on the restarts and throughout those runs. I mean, was that the plan all along, or was it once you got to the white flag, was it going to be every man for himself, or were you two working together no matter what for the rest of that race?
We were committed to. He was promising me he wasn't going to lift and stay right on me right to the end. So he said, actually, we were joking around. He said, I'm not lifting the final lap. So whether I blow up or not, but I don't think, I think the momentum on that high line. He didn't have to do that. I think we had the control of the situation. The bottom really had to form up and they would have had to have some cars working together to make it work. And in that third car in line for us, Nick, he's a teammate as well, and he was doing a fantastic job helping us. And honestly, I think that's the key, is that third guy, really just kind of keeping that momentum and protecting that high line. But yeah, it was that was the plan. We did work together early on, just kind of ran around the back, and then a few times we got further off the packs than we wanted to, and we were able to kind of work together to get caught back up, not to the main pack, but another pack that would have fallen off the main pack. And but we knew there would be cautions, and we knew we'd have our opportunity to get to the front, hopefully through maybe a pit cycle, which we did. We all decided to take just 2 tires and a splash of fuel sort of deal. Enough fuel to get us through the green white checkers, and it got I think it got 3 of the 4 of us up in the top 10, with about 40 to go. So yeah, it worked out well, and we were fortunate enough to get out front and stay out of trouble at that point.
I mean, you guys did a great job out there, Andrew. Congratulations on the win here tonight. We cannot wait to see more of this league and also your run-ins throughout the season here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, honestly, really excited to have you guys on board this year. I was able to watch the broadcast a couple weeks ago, the 500 that you broadcasted, and my young fellow was in that one, and I'm really excited. Thought very professional, and really excited to have you guys on board this year for sure. Thanks for Daniel for putting this on. And he's a great league owner and admin, and treats everybody very fair and respectful. And I got to thank my team. I got to thank Nick, Gary, and Kev for a great run tonight. Twisted Axle Motorsports. So thank you very much.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight, the 12 machine of Andrew St. Cor. Congratulations on the win. Enjoy this, and good luck at the Clash next week.
Thank you.
As we move from victory lane, we head down to second place to the driver that said he was going to keep his foot on the throttle, and it worked out to help out St. Cor get the win. We got Kevin Thompson with us in the 6th machine. Kevin, congratulations on second. It worked out for the 1-2 of being up front. Man, how are you feeling come away finishing second here tonight?
Yeah, I feel great. Especially after this past Sunday losing my grandmother. It's really hard racing with a heavy heart, and this 1-2 goes out to my family, and hopefully for a good season this year. Starting out back tonight, just trying to stay out of trouble. I was the first one to bring out a caution. I'm sorry to my own teammate for wrecking them. But other than that, it was a great race. When it was time to go, we just went to the front.
Well, Kevin, our condolences to you and your family for the loss, but this sets you up. We know it's going to be open set up for Daytona in a couple of weeks when you'll come here for the season opener. But you and your teammate Andrew worked well together. I mean, do you expect much to change from the fixed setup to the open setup when y'all come back in a couple of weeks?
A little bit, yes. You can get through the air a lot better with a setup than you do fixed. We're really good here at Daytona. We usually do really well, and I'm looking forward to the season.
We're excited for the season as well, Kevin. I also double down with what Trevor said. We're sorry for your loss, and going into, I know we got Daytona in a couple of weeks. What's the feeling like, comfortable wise, though, heading into the Clash next week?
I'm looking forward to it. Building a new set for Daytona. Practicing drafting with my teammates and throwing off other setups and trying new things and getting better at it. But we'll just go out there and try to grab the pole and start our main Daytona race out front.
Well, we cannot wait to see how your team's going to perform there, Kevin. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yes, I just want to give a shout out to Daniel for putting this on. The league is amazing. Very, very good drivers out here. And for y'all putting on a really great broadcast.
Well, thank you very much. Again, that is going to be Kevin Thompson, second place. We are so sorry to the Thompson family for your loss, and we hope that all prayers go to you guys, that you guys can get through this very nicely. And Kevin, good luck next week. Can't wait to see more of you out here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
Yep, thank you.
Well, that's going to be the 6 machine as we head down to third place. We bring up the 5 machine of Hunter Simpson, who is up front majority of the night. Hunter, it's Sam and Trevor up the booth. Congratulations on third. Man, how are you feeling after a great performance here tonight? We'll see if we can queue up Hunter Simpson. You there? Looks like we might have missed out on Hunter, as we'll just give him one more try. Hunter, see your mic's moving. You hear us?
Yeah, I got you. My bad, sorry.
No problem. Well, Hunter, congratulations on third. Man, how are you feeling after your great performance here tonight to finish out with the top 3?
I didn't want it to end that way with getting into Atwood, but I went back and looked at it and there was some net code involved there. But I ran up front most of the day. That's what I always try and do at these super speedways. I try and get up front, stay up front, be in that position to win. It's just hard to be in position there at the end when there's teammates lined up. So I just did what I could.
Well, Hunter, I know it's not the official start to the season. You got the Clash next week, then the duels, then the official race a couple weeks from now. But how do you feel that this great run here tonight is going to set you up for the start of the season?
I feel really good. Usually I get wrecked out here. I can push pretty good and I can be pushed pretty good. It's just everybody else, man. Everybody else can cause trouble for you, and I think it's going to be good momentum going into the Clash and potentially the rest of the season.
We're excited for the rest of the season. What can you take from tonight heading into Daytona, or is there anything that you feel like you can take from tonight's race?
I just try and bring some teammates with you up to the front, because I was trying to do whatever I could to get up front, and I eventually got there, but due to some incidents behind me, it just split everybody up. We usually have a bigger group of people that we work with, like Jonathan and Justin and all of them, but it's just so hard, man. It's so hard to get everybody lined up. That's why Twisted Axle did a good job of getting all 3 of them guys lined up there at the end.
Well, you still did a great job yourself, Hunter, here tonight. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
I want to thank you guys for the broadcast. It's good to have you guys on board. I'm excited to watch it. All my teammates and Daniel for helping out a lot. Daniel, he's a really great league owner, and he's like a best friend to me. So it's great to have a friend like that while also still being fair racing wise. And all my teammates, all my personal sponsors, Adam Looney Foundation, AutismSpeaks.org, Alabama Enterprise, Simpson Brothers Towing, Simpson's Design Shop, Fusion Auto Cells, just everybody really.
Well, we're excited to see how you're going to perform for this actual season once it begins, Hunter, but congratulations on third. Certainly a driver now in our eyes to watch out for moving forward. Enjoy this third place and good luck next week during the Clash.
Thank you. I'll see you then.
Well, that's going to be your third place finisher of Hunter Simpson, coming away in third place for the 5 machines. Certainly a lot of calamity struck there late, but the race officially ending under yellow, and the winner going to be Andrew St. Cyr. As we bring up our unofficial results here tonight, certainly a wild race overall. Drivers mixing and mingling. Got used to some of the names. I know, Trevor, I know this is your one-off race with us for this series, but it was a pleasure to have you up here in the booth as we get ourselves prepared to try to get more used to the names. But this is where they finished out this evening. Andrew St. Cyr going to be finishing in first place. Kevin Thompson going to be in second. Hunter Simpson in third. Thank you to our top three for joining us in the booth. Fourth is going to be Andrew Lucas, one of our biggest movers of the night. Fifth place, Baker Knapp, who started this race all the way back in last place. Gonna finish in the top five. Justin McMahon in sixth. Seventh goes to Steve Gerber, as well as Bruce Martin in eighth position. Eric Anderson able to recover for ninth, and Jeff Wimmer finishing out our top 10.
Yeah, further on down through the field, we have our pole sitter Tyler Millette down there in 14th position after getting caught up in a couple of incidents for himself, and guys that were up front and just having bad luck there at the end. The 41 of Andy Cork, we saw him up front for a portion of this race down there in 17th. The fan favorite Stephen Bonamo down there in 26th after the curse of the commentator finally caught up with the 9 machine, but a great run for him there toward the end before he got caught up in a wreck. The 00 of Nicholas Atwood, we saw him there in the last caution running third before he got tangled up all the way down in 26th position. And then further on down, Christopher Lefwich, we saw him get up front there for a portion of this race down there in 30th. And then Richard Leclerc and Mark Dormant going to round out our 32 drivers here tonight, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, 32 drivers making it here tonight. 38 officially signed up. But thank you to 32 that showed up for tonight's race. I know this wasn't an official start to the season. The drivers are going to have January 25th going to be the start of the drivers having their Shoney Clash at Nashville Fairgrounds, then the duels on the 1st. But here's what our schedule looks like for us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Upcoming tomorrow night on Wednesday, it's the WSSR Cup Series as they are in the middle of their regular season, heading to Las Vegas tomorrow night. We already know Shoney Doghouse Cup Series getting ready for action, and we cannot wait for it. Open setups is something completely new for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Zach Call and myself will be giving you the call here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And then February 12th, back again for another season. We cannot wait for it. It is the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series coming back for another season. Took a little bit of a hiatus for a few months to debrief after a lot of hardcore seasons going back to back, and now they're ready for another season to ramp up. Tuesdays, well, we'll see. Message us, see if we can get a booking on Tuesday nights as it is open currently. But thank you so much for joining with us. Trevor, I know this is your one-off race again, but any final thoughts before we call it a night here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting?
Definitely cannot wait to tune in Thursday nights and see what kind of show these guys are going to put on, especially with the open setups and what that's going to bring. I think you, Robert, and Zach are going to be in for a great season with these guys after the show that they put on tonight. So definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to the ISRC truck guys coming back on Monday. That league's always fun to watch. Might be taking part in that. You never know. So tune into that one. You might see me down on the racetrack and as well Wednesday night. Be back out there for Vegas tomorrow night. Those guys, those guys over there put on a great show Wednesday nights, and can't wait to get back on track with those guys.
Yeah, I mean, excited for Wednesday nights. Tomorrow night going to be a good one to watch. Las Vegas after kind of a tough race last week. A lot of drivers not happy with the way short track's been going. Excited for mile and a half. I know we are as well. Saw in the chat, want to say thank you to all those that were giving us some great shout outs. We appreciate all those that came out to watch the Daytona 300 of the Doghouse Racing League. Thank you so much for joining with us and all the drivers that put on a great show. It was fantastic for our preview of what Doghouse Racing Series is going to be bringing throughout Thursday nights. Don't want to miss out. But for myself, tonight, thank you so much for joining with us, as well as Trevor Earhart, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you so much for joining with us. Your next Doghouse Racing League race here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting will be the 25th of January next week. Do not miss out on the great short track racing for the Clash to begin the preview of Daytona in a few weeks after that. But for us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, if you want to see more racing action before then, we'll see you tomorrow night. WSSR Cup Series, the Gen 4s head to Las Vegas for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.